Chapter 1837. After the battle, Tianyun and the others were sent back to the training ground to rest for another 10 years. What surprised Tianyun was that all the resources were replenished. Those elixirs and the core energy were all replenished, not a bit less. It seemed that this was quite humane. He wouldn't come back to see an empty space when he rested because he had used too much. If that happened, he could only come back and stare. If that really happened, he could only take it out of his body to recover. There were no restrictions on this. There were no restrictions here. As long as he didn't want to escape, he could use anything in battle or now. Tianyun didn't waste it. Like before, he absorbed it crazily, leaving nothing behind. There was nothing to do here anyway. Since the artifact spirit had given him so many elixirs, why would he waste them? Another 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. Tianyun had already absorbed all the resources here and welcomed the latest battle. This time, it was the Light God Emperor. According to attributes, he was an extremely strong God Emperor. It wasn't surprising that he could win until now. Fight! The Light God Emperor didn't waste time and immediately fought with Tianyun. He wasn't as emotional as the Fire God Emperor, so he didn't say much. He only had one word: fight. Tianyun didn't waste time either. He immediately unleashed his power and fought with the Light God Emperor. The battle ended quickly, and the Light God Emperor was defeated. Even at the moment of defeat, the Light God Emperor didn't say a word and died in silence. The battle was still a crushing victory for Tianyun. The Chaos Core was too powerful. It could restrain any attribute. Under the restraint of power, it was natural for the Light God Emperor to be crushed. Even though the Light God Emperor was already a late-stage lower God Emperor, he was still crushed. But after he ended the battle, the Evil Spirit Emperor didn't. This time, his opponent was still very strong. Under the Evil Spirit Emperor's crazy attack, he didn't lose immediately. But after holding on for a while, he was still devoured. The Evil Spirit Emperor devoured its opponents and turned them into its own energy. As he devoured more and more Emperor gods, his aura became stronger and stronger. He was even stronger than before. It had to be said that this Evil Spirit Emperor's appetite was astonishing. It could even devour and absorb a divine lord. Evil Spirit Emperor is indeed strong. Tianyun couldn't help but praise the Evil Spirit Emperor. If the Evil Spirit Emperor was his companion, then it would truly be like a god helping him. Unfortunately, they were opponents, and mortal enemies at that. After the Evil Spirit Emperor devoured his opponent, he looked at him with a provocative gaze. "Oh, your strength is not bad. But the more it's like this, the more it feels like devouring." After saying that, he licked his lips, suppressing his desire to devour Tianyun. He can't wait to devour him. "Oh, let's see how big your mouth is," Tianyun said calmly. "At the very least, devouring you won't be a problem." After the Evil Spirit Emperor finished his last sentence, the two of them were teleported back to the recovery area. The recovery area was the same as before, and all the resources had been replenished. There was no problem at all. Tianyun accepted it all, not leaving anything behind. After absorbing all of it, he continued to wait for the time to come with great satisfaction. 10 years passed in the blink of an eye. This time, what Tianyun was facing was the final battle. Under the teleportation, he was facing the Evil Spirit Emperor. The two of them looked at each other from afar, and this time, there were no spectators around. The only spectators were the artifact spirit. In theory, the artifact spirits were not spectators at all. They could only act as cold and ruthless referees. All life and death were decided by them. In this battle, it was practically a secret, and no cultivator knew about it. Tianyun knew what this meant. He did not want such a cruel battle to be seen by other worlds. If they saw it, they would realize that the Divine Lord that they had painstakingly cultivated to become was nothing more than a stepping stone for others. This way, many cultivators would not be willing to break through, or they would suppress their cultivation to the extreme, lest they would immediately welcome the selection of the Divine Lord after breaking through. Especially after witnessing 8 Divine Lords, only one was left. No one could accept such a cruel situation. Especially in the eyes of the cultivators of the various worlds, the Divine Lord was invincible and could not die. However, they had all fallen here, like cabbages on the street, so worthless. Thus, everything had to be kept secret and could not be spread to the outside world. From Etienne's point of view, he probably wouldn't be able to go back. The artifact spirit said that he could go back. It was probably to say a few more words to his family or something like that. If that was the case, how could he even talk about going back? This battle has finally arrived. I didn't expect you to be able to last until now. It seems like your level is not bad. The evil spirit emperor was not in a hurry to attack. Instead, he looked him up and down and said in a deep voice, "It's just that no matter how you resist, it's useless. When I fought with you before, this emperor did not even use half of his power." "Oh, looks like you have quite a lot to say this time. Is it because the Divine Lord that you devoured into your body is difficult to absorb? Are you stalling for time so that you can absorb the last bit of energy?" Etienne sat down cross-legged and said with a faint smile, "Don't worry, I'm not in a hurry. After you finish absorbing, I'll fight you again." Etienne stretched out his hand, indicating that he could take his time and was in no hurry. If they were to confront each other like this, the artifact spirit would not judge them as a draw. It would deliberately make it seem like both sides were injured and unable to move. Only then would it be erased. This was just preparation before the battle, so there was still a bit more time allowed. Especially since this was the last battle, if both of them were killed, then it would be equivalent to breaking the rules. If the last Divine Lord was not left behind, then it would also be a dereliction of duty. The evil spirit emperor's expression changed. He did not expect that Etienne would be able to see through his problem with a single glance. Indeed, the Divine Lord energy in his body had not been completely absorbed. After 10 years, he still had not completely digested it. With this energy, it would have a great impact on his battle. After all, this was someone else's energy. If he did not properly convert it, it would affect his own performance. If it was serious, it might even cause his body to explode. Thus, he was stalling for time and chatting with Etienne a bit more. If they really fought, he would prioritize dodging and wait for himself to finish absorbing before fiercely counterattacking. Who knew that Etienne would directly see through his true thoughts, causing his face to turn ashen. Especially when he told him to finish absorbing before fighting, it was even more insulting. Chapter 1838. It seems like you're quite confident in yourself. The evil spirit emperor looked at him coldly. It's not bad. At least it's not a problem to deal with you. I'll wait for you to finish devouring, then fight with you, and let you die convinced. Etienne's expression was indifferent, neither happy nor sad, as if everything was within his control. Even if the evil spirit emperor finished devouring it and raised his cultivation, he could still destroy it. The evil spirit emperor did not say anything. Instead, he maintained his silence and sped up the energy in his body. It was as if he was enduring something and didn't say anything. After a period of silence, the evil spirit emperor let out a deep breath and sneered, "Then I really have to thank you. You will pay the price for your stupidity. Do you think you're very capable by being so open and aboveboard? Everything ends here. This emperor is the only god lord in this world." As soon as he finished speaking, the evil spirit emperor once again turned into a death god. This time, the death god he turned into was even larger than before, and the sickle in his hand seemed to have grown a little larger. After absorbing so many god lords, his cultivation did not increase by a single step, but in terms of the degree of condensation of energy, it was stronger than before. He would not feel any gratitude towards Tianyun. He would only use the sickle in his hand to tear Tianyun into countless pieces, and then completely devour him, turning him into a part of his body. He would only think that Tianyun was stupid. He clearly had a great opportunity, but he let him slowly absorb it all. He had been silent the entire time because he did not want to anger Tianyun. He would not do such a stupid thing. Although he could also fight a great battle, it would still affect him a little. It would be best if he could completely absorb it. If they really fought, he would just have to keep dodging and wait for the absorption to finish before fighting again. Right now, there was no need for him to hide everywhere. Tianyun directly allowed him to absorb it. In his opinion, it was stupid. Tianyun's eyes flickered, and the primal chaos core in his body was completely released in that instant. A wave of primal chaos force that came from the beginning of the world enveloped his entire body, and the image of a star appeared behind him. If one looked closely, this was not an ordinary star, but a huge planet that revolved behind him. At this moment, he seemed to have become a god of the universe, controlling countless planets and countless cores. At this moment, all of this energy burst forth, turning into this majestic power. Crazy mode erupt. Dragon Phoenix Divine Meridian explode. All of his abilities were unleashed, and his strength increased layer by layer. Every time he unlocked a layer, his strength would increase by another layer. Originally, Tianyun didn't look tall and sturdy, but the power he released made him look like a giant, growing taller and taller. Very quickly, the energy released overshadowed the evil spirit emperor that was pouncing over. However, this was not the end. Tianyun narrowed his eyes and said, "Level up? Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully breaking through to the middle stage lower god emperor realm. After killing a few celestial emperors, he was able to easily earn the next level of experience, which allowed him to level up immediately. Under the increase of his cultivation, his base value suddenly rose, once again reaching a brand new height. The pouncing evil spirit emperor's body stiffened. In that instant, he felt that the person he was facing was no longer the weak human from before, but a tall and sturdy giant. Even though it still looked the same, the feeling he gave off was that invincible, making him feel extremely powerless. Illusion, everything is an illusion. Evil Spirit Emperor felt that Tianyun was deliberately mystifying, so he waved the sickle in his hand and slashed down, tearing through the void. The sickle tore through layers of space and slashed down towards Tianyun's head, bringing up streams of black light that were like sharp blades that swept towards him first. However, he was completely fine, as if he had been brushed by a layer of gentle wind. At most, the corners of his clothes were torn, but nothing else happened to him. The moment the sickle slashed down, Tianyun extended his hand and gently pinched, grabbing the sickle that was slashing down between his two hands and easily freezing it in midair. No matter how hard the evil spirit emperor tried, he was unable to chop it down in the slightest. "It's not that I'm too stupid, it's that you're too weak," Tianyun said indifferently. "No matter how much you improve, it's meaningless. Go to hell for this emperor." The evil spirit emperor roared, the sickle in his hand once again pressed down, but no matter how much he exploded, it did not move at all. "It's you, go to hell." Tianyun pulled over, and the evil spirit emperor was easily dragged over, without even the slightest bit of resistance. At the same time he was pulled over, he quickly reached out and pierced through the evil spirit emperor's body, then tore it to the side, forcefully tearing the evil spirit emperor into two halves. Tearing apart a celestial emperor with his bare hands, if the other celestial emperor were still alive, they would definitely be stunned. After breaking through to the Divine Lord realm, no matter what, it was incomparably hard. It was like a upper heavenly god spirit treasure, and it was even a top-notch heavenly god spirit treasure, extremely hard. But now it was easily torn apart like a piece of paper. However, after the evil spirit emperor was torn apart, he quickly fused back in the air, as if he had an undying body. He didn't seem to be dead, but in reality, he was severely injured. A large piece of his soul had been torn off, and his pale face was the best proof. You just broke through to Divine Lord. How can your strength be so strong?" the evil spirit emperor roared. He could not believe that a divine lord who had just broken through not long ago had already far surpassed his cultivation. "Your life force is quite tenacious. It seems like cultivating the undying body devil art has given you a few more lives," Tianyun said indifferently. "However, I want to see how many times you can revive." He took a step in the air and instantly appeared in front of the evil spirit emperor. He extended his hand and once again pierced through the evil spirit emperor's body. The other party did not even have the chance to dodge and was easily pierced through. A moment later, the evil spirit emperor condensed back into his original appearance. He looked unharmed, but in reality, his soul had been torn apart. His face was extremely pale, and his condensed body was on the verge of collapse. It looked like he could not hold on any longer. At most, he could only revive a few times. If this continued, the evil spirit emperor would definitely die. This emperor is the strongest divine lord, the divine lord who can rule this place. The evil spirit emperor went berserk, igniting his own soul and bloodline power, pouncing towards Tianyun, releasing all of his power to suppress Tianyun. However, it was meaningless. Everything was easily pierced through by a pair of hands, and then easily torn apart. Chapter 1839. Successfully killed Evil Spirit Emperor, gained 500 million compressed EXP, 200 million compressed Crazy Point, and 500 million compressed Sin Point. Obtained Evil Spirit Emperor's bloodline, Evil Spirit Emperor's soul, and Evil Spirit Emperor's blood. The voice that came means that Evil Spirit Emperor is really dead, and gained a lot of EXP, which is comparable to killing several ordinary God Emperors. As expected of a relatively powerful God Emperor, the EXP gained from killing it increased several times. Evil Spirit Emperor was killed, but Tianyun was not excited at all. He was just a little relieved, feeling that everything is over. After so long, he finally solved the problem of Kaiyuan World. Even if he is not here for the time being, Kaiyuan World will not have any problems, as long as the evil spirit race does not dare to move at will. Is it finally over? Tianyun looked up at the void, and soon the figure of the artifact spirit appeared in front of him. The expression of this artifact spirit is still not happy or sad. There is no joy. Congratulations on winning the final victory. You are the only God Emperor who can successfully advance. You are the strongest God Emperor here. The expression of the artifact spirit really can't see the slightest bit of congratulation. It is like a puppet, casually saying a few words. What about now? Can I go back and have a look? Tianyun looked at the artifact spirit. No, you can only summon up to 5 people's relatives and friends, and pass on the corresponding martial arts to them. After leaving, I will change their memories. The artifact spirit said truthfully. Memory change? What do you want to change? Tianyun's eyes flashed. Change it to you leaving this world and going to a very far area. I don't know when you will come back. The artifact spirit did not hide anything. It is its duty to answer, and this is not a violation of the rules. Can't I go back? Tianyun asked. No, unless you completely become the master of this place, you can come back at will. The artifact spirit said. Become the master of this place? Tianyun looked at it in doubt. Does that mean I can become the master of this place by defeating you? No, defeating me does not make you the master of this place. I can't tell you the details. However, when you reach that area, you will know the corresponding method. The artifact spirit continued to speak in a calm tone. Now, choose 5 people to come here. If you give up this opportunity, you will not be able to return before you become the owner of this place. Don't even think of challenging my authority. Even if you break through to become a God Emperor, you still can't. The artifact spirit waved its hand, and a huge formation suddenly appeared behind it. A terrifying force came crashing down from above, causing Tianyun to feel a terrifying pressure. This was the power of a high-level God Emperor, and it was enough to suppress all the God Emperors here. An ordinary Emperor God would not be able to resist it and would be suppressed easily. Tianyun suddenly grinned. No matter who it is, they can't control my thoughts, whether it was in the past or now. So you can't control my choice either. In an instant, he unleashed his full strength and tore through the void towards the artifact spirit. In the blink of an eye, he pierced through the artifact spirit and smashed it into pieces. Perhaps the artifact spirit did not expect Tianyun to choose to resist after it had unleashed such a powerful force, which resulted in it being smashed into pieces. In the blink of an eye, the artifact spirit condensed again and roared angrily, "Disobeying orders! I will let you know the price of disobeying orders!" The artifact spirit did not suffer any damage, it was just smashed into pieces. It had always been difficult for the artifact spirit to die. Unless the actual body of the artifact spirit was attacked, it would not suffer any damage. Especially this kind of artifact spirit, which had received the support of the formation, its vitality was even more tenacious. Tianyun could not be bothered with it. He knew that the artifact spirit was difficult to deal with. He had to find its actual body as soon as possible and suppress it ruthlessly. However, when the artifact spirit released the formation, it was already exposed. He had been waiting for this opportunity. He would definitely not listen obediently, he would choose to resist. In his opinion, he would definitely not obey such an order, especially in such a vicious battle where the strongest expert would be chosen in such a cruel manner. He did not object to the cruel elimination system, but he did not want to use the God Emperors, who had worked hard to reach their current level, as chess pieces. He wanted to choose the strongest chess piece. He did not know where he would be taken, but at least for now, he will not obey. If he wants to fight, he will fight, he would rather die standing than live kneeling. Found it? Tianyun instantly reached the top of the formation, reached out his hand, and the appraisal eye was fully activated, searching for the flaws of the formation core. Because he had already looked around, he immediately found one of the formation cores, reached out his hand, and broke the formation core at an astonishing speed of 256 times. However, the formation core of the formation is extremely profound, it cannot be easily solved, and the difficulty of solving it is extremely high. This is the strongest level of 9th grade Divine Seal, it is not easy to solve it. Level up. Successfully promoted to 9th grade Divine Seal Master. With an amazing compressed crazy point, it is effortless for him to level up. In the blink of an eye, the formation core was solved, it was extremely fast. This is the effect of leveling up to the same level, coupled with the amazing speed of solving the formation core. After solving the first formation core, he went to solve the second formation core. Bold, you dare to break the formation core, I will sentence you to death. Tool Spirit was angry, he did not expect someone to disobey to this point, it was originally a simple punishment for Tianyun, let him know the consequences of disobedience. Who knew that Tianyun has the ability to break the formation core, if this continues, the formation that maintains itself will be broken. In this case, even as a Tool Spirit, it will feel extremely angry. In the next second, Tool Spirit arrived in front of Tianyun. With a wave of his hand, the power of the stars was instantly gathered by him. In fact, all the power of the world was drawn out by him, turned into a vast power, and suppressed Tianyun. The terrifying power instantly exceeds the limit of a superior God Emperor, reaching a whole new realm. Even if it is not the power of a whole new realm, it is almost there. Tool Spirit is a Tool Spirit, its real ability is actually to draw all the power of the world here. Who can resist this kind of power? Even Yi Tianyun cannot resist this kind of impact. Boom! Yi Tianyun was instantly blasted into slag, turned into dust and dissipated in the air. Tool Spirit looked at Yi Tianyun, who dissipated into slag. His face still remained angry. What a waste of time! After cultivating for so many years, a defector came out. Chapter 1840. The artifact spirit thought that it could definitely kill Yi Tianyun, so it was not too cautious. This move was condensed with the strongest killing move. Even the evil spirit emperor, who had an undying body, would be killed in one move. Yi Tianyun tearing apart the evil spirit emperor was only a heavy injury. If it was hit by this attack, it would really be blasted to pieces. It would not even have the chance to condense again. Therefore, the artifact spirit believed that it could successfully kill Yi Tianyun, so it did not need to pay too much attention. But the moment the artifact spirit relaxed, Yi Tianyun quickly returned from the ashes and activated the special effect of the dragon and phoenix bloodline. In the blink of an eye, he was reborn and quickly destroyed the formation core. By the time the artifact spirit reacted, another formation core had been destroyed, leaving only the last formation core. Such a large formation with 3 formation cores was actually very difficult to destroy under normal circumstances. After all, it was originally of an extremely high grade. Even if a 9th grade Divine Seal Master was here, it would be extremely difficult to destroy it. It would take a very long time to destroy the formation core. By the time one destroyed the formation core, they would have died countless times, so it was basically impossible to destroy. Unless one had a very strong power and could withstand it. But the artifact spirit could mobilize the power of all the world. Even a superior god emperor would find it difficult to withstand this fierce attack, let alone slowly destroy the divine seal. But Yi Tianyun was different. He had crazy mode. In crazy mode, his breaking speed increased to 256 times. How could an ordinary 9th grade divine inscription master compare to him? The two were not existences on the same level. He actually didn't die. How is this possible? The originally calm artifact spirit was now shocked. From its initial anger, it turned into shock. Its strongest move did not have the slightest effect. How could it not be shocked? But it quickly reacted and quickly intercepted Yi Tianyun. Not dead, then come again? The artifact spirit could continue to mobilize the power of all the world. Every time it mobilized, the light on the surface of all the worlds would dim a bit. This large-scale mobilization of power would definitely have an astonishing consumption, so it was not surprising that such a situation would occur. As the artifact spirit mobilized all its power, another attack was launched. In the blink of an eye, Yi Tianyun, who was rushing towards the other eye of the array, was blasted to smithereens again. What devil emperor set? What powerful bloodline! Under this one move, they all turned into nothingness. This was a power that surpassed everything. Only this kind of power could allow the artifact spirit to control this place and give it absolute authority. It's impossible to revive this time. The artifact spirit had never seen such an existence before. Even after being blasted into powder, it could still revive. What kind of ability was this? In its opinion, there shouldn't be an existence that surpassed it. After all, there were so many cultivation methods here, especially the top ones, and they were all given out by him. Even some of the resources were distributed by it. This was equivalent to giving martial arts that could only be cultivated to the God-Emperor level. It was impossible to surpass this limit, right? In terms of cognition, most people did think that the God-Emperor had reached the pinnacle and had reached an invincible state. However, the previous state had exceeded its understanding. It had never given such a monstrous martial art before. Could it be that they have created an even stronger martial art? The artifact spirit was incredulous. If that was the case, it had really exceeded its expectations. While it was guessing, a figure condensed again. With lightning speed, it quickly broke the array eye in the sky. This time, the artifact spirit was stunned again. However, it quickly reacted and screamed, "No!" Its scream did not slow down the collapse of the array. In an instant, the array collapsed. Following that, a pearl fell from above. Tianyun was quick to react. He reached out and grabbed the pearl. With a cold gaze, he said, "Suppress it for me." A powerful force instantly surged into the pearl, sealing it layer by layer, sealing it firmly. After a while, this seemingly invincible pearl was sealed just like that. Upper Celestial God's spiritual treasure. Tianyun looked at the sealed pearl in his hand with a strange expression. He did not expect a mere Upper Celestial God spiritual treasure to reach the strength of an Upper God Emperor under the support of this array. The main body was only an Upper Celestial God spiritual treasure. This showed how powerful this array was. Under the superposition, an Upper Celestial God spiritual treasure could reach the God Emperor level and kill all God Emperors in an instant. It seemed that the expert who set up this array was extremely powerful. He was definitely not an Emperor-level existence. After all, an Emperor-level existence could not set up an array of this level. They could only set up a slightly weaker one. This was similar to how it was difficult for an Emperor-level expert to nurture an Emperor-level expert. However, it was easy to nurture a Heavenly God-level expert. It was extremely difficult to nurture a slightly weaker one at the same level as him. Immediately, Tianyun turned to look at the artifact spirit. With a cold gaze, he said, "Are you convinced or not?" The sealed artifact spirit naturally had no resistance. However, it could still move. "If you disobey the Master's order, you will be punished," the artifact spirit shouted. "Don't think that you can control this place just because you defeated me. If you are discovered by the Master, you will die. It seems that you don't want to obey." Tianyun tightened his grip a little, and a crack appeared on the artifact spirit. At the same time, a crack also appeared on the artifact spirit. When the body was destroyed, the artifact spirit was naturally damaged. "Absolutely not. You are too weak. You are not worthy of my obedience." The artifact spirit didn't feel any fear in the face of death. He looked at Tianyun with eyes full of contempt. "Is that so? Then you can go to hell first. I will look for your master after some time." Immediately, the artifact spirit crushed the pearl into countless pieces and dissipated in the void. "Stupid, overconfident. You are just a pawn of the master, a group of ants." The tool spirit laughed loudly before disappearing, laughing at Tianyun's arrogance, laughing at his arrogance. Ding! Successfully killed the artifact spirit. Obtained 1 compressed EXP, 1 compressed crazy point, 1 SPS, obtained the right to control the chaos world. The system's notification made Tianyun's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to obtain the right to control the chaos world. The artifact spirit said that he couldn't obtain the right to control the chaos world, but he did. After all, he has the system. He doesn't have the right to control the chaos world, but the system forced him to. After killing the artifact spirit, he can obtain its ability. Very good, but after killing this artifact spirit, I don't know what will happen to the master. Tianyun's eyes were cold. He didn't want to become a pawn. Chapter 1841. Tianyun never regretted his actions, especially when he knew the details. He felt especially disgusted. If it was a normal selection to select the strongest, then there was no need to say anything. It was very understandable. Natural selection, survival of the fittest. This was undoubtedly the right way to choose the strongest existence. However, the master who controlled this place was extremely disgusting. He made all the worlds fight against each other, and only the elites of the elite. It was one thing to choose the elites, but looking at the situation of this artifact spirit, it was very likely that it was controlled as a slave, which was even more out of line with his style. Thus, he had to take the risk to kill this artifact spirit and take control of this place first. He was betting that the original owner of this place would not pay attention to this place. This way, he would have enough time to break through himself. At that time, even if the original owner came, he would be able to kill him. Of course, it was basically impossible for him to have the slightest chance of breaking through here, so he chose to leave this world. This was what the artifact's spirit had said, heading to that mysterious area. It was a pity that the artifact's spirit was unwilling to obey, making it impossible for him to find out more detailed information. Soon after, he tore open the void and returned to his original world from this region. When he returned, he still saw the evil spirit world continuously surging towards the Kai Yuan world. It seemed that even though the evil spirit emperor was dead, they did not stop attacking. It was probably the evil spirit emperor's order to have the evil spirit world continuously attack the Kai Yuan world until it was conquered. Hold on, kill all of these evil spirit race back. Let them know how powerful we are. Kill. Protect our world and exterminate these evil spirit race. We'll kill as many as we come. We don't believe that they have countless evil spirit race. The Kai Yuan world was resisting with great difficulty. Facing wave after wave of evil spirit race, it was still somewhat difficult for them to resist. The main reason was that the evil spirit race was more crazy, and they fought with no regard for their lives. The evil spirit emperor had given a death order, so there was naturally no way to disobey it. Even if the evil spirit emperor died, it would continue. Although the Kai Yuan world had made a large breakthrough, their foundation was still relatively weak, so it was still difficult to resist. However, if they continued to resist, the Kai Yuan world would definitely win, but their losses would be heavier. Evil spirit world. Yi Tianyun's gaze was ice-cold. He stretched out his hand and clenched it. Destroy. Boom. The evil spirit world in the distance exploded with a huge mushroom cloud. The evil spirit race that wanted to fly out of the evil spirit world was directly blown into powder. The gigantic world turned into dust layer by layer and dissipated into the air. The evil spirit race's inside were all exterminated. He did not even need to attack personally. All he needed to do was trigger the power within the evil spirit world to self-destruct, and he would be able to achieve this. In the blink of an eye, piles of experience points flooded into his mind. As the controller of this place, he controlled the destruction of the evil spirit world. Naturally, it was his destruction, and because of this, he received a large amount of EXP. However, as a god emperor, the experience brought by the ordinary evil spirit race was almost negligible. Even though the system of the evil spirit world was huge and did not provide much EXP, it was still enough for him to level up. The cultivators of the Kai Yuan world and the evil spirit race were all stunned. A good evil spirit world had been destroyed just like that. Our world, this. The evil spirit race who had luckily survived were all stunned. Their home was gone just like that. The cultivators were also stunned. Didn't this mean that the evil spirit race was completely gone? As long as they exterminated the evil spirit race in front of them, it would be over. Kill. They did not have the slightest bit of pity, nor did they show any mercy. They continued to brandish the sharp blades in their hands, crazily clearing the area. The remaining evil spirit race gave up struggling. Their home was gone, so what was the point of struggling? Without any follow-up support, they were just cannon fodder among cannon fodder. Not to mention winning, they couldn't even take over a little bit of the place. However, before they could exterminate the remaining evil spirit race a ray of light flashed past, and the remaining evil spirit race were all exterminated, leaving nothing behind. Immediately after, a familiar figure appeared in front of them. Alliance Master. When they saw Yi Tianyun, they were immediately overjoyed. So it was their Alliance Master who had returned. Among them, the Fecta Domain Master and the others flew over and said excitedly, "Alliance Master, I don't know what happened to the evil spirit world, but it was destroyed just like that." Could it be that the heavens have eyes and helped us destroy the evil spirit world? No, I was the one who destroyed it, Tianyun said calmly. They were dumbfounded by this information and were completely dumbfounded. It's a long story. We have an emergency meeting now, and there is something very important that needs to be announced. Tianyun's expression did not look happy. Even though he had destroyed the biggest problem in his heart, he still could not be happy. When they saw how serious Tianyun was, all of them became solemn as well. They followed Tianyun to the headquarters of the Alliance. Very quickly, all of them gathered, and they did not know what had happened. Originally, when they knew that the evil spirit world had been destroyed and that Tianyun had become an emperor god, it was something worth celebrating. Now that they came in and saw that Tianyun's expression was extremely serious, their smiles disappeared. They vaguely felt that something was not right, and it was very likely that they had encountered something big. Shortly after, Tianyun explained the detailed situation, which was about the choice of God Emperor. After he said that, all of them were silent. But they could see the shock in one another's eyes. They had never expected that such a situation would occur. Alliance leader, you are saying that God Emperors aren't the strongest and that there are stronger existences? As for after breaking through to God Emperor, they are just pawns for others? Medicine God and the others found it hard to believe. They had always been told that God Emperors were invincible, but now they were just pawns. If God Emperors were pawns, then how strong would the chess player be? Right, this is the cruel reality. I did destroy the artifact spirit, but as long as the master of this place is alive, he will control this world. He won't be free. Tianyun's expression was solemn. This means that without the artifact spirit, he can still arrange for one more. When the time comes, the cycle will continue. It is very likely that the God Emperors of our Kaiyuan world have all died in battle in the choice of God Emperor. Of course, it is also possible that they have left this world and headed to that unknown region. Alliance leader, are you planning to leave this place and head to that world to investigate? Sure, Shuayun, who was at the side, quickly caught on to her husband's thoughts. Tianyun did not say it out loud, but it was very clear that he was going to leave this place and head to that world. If they continued to stay here, they would only be waiting for death. When the time came, Tianyun would be destroyed and order would be rebuilt. Nothing would change. Chapter 1842. Tianyun's answer was not unexpected. This was the inevitable result. Tianyun's cultivation was the strongest, and only he could head to that mysterious world. They were not even at the Divine Emperor realm, so how could they head to that world? It's a pity that we aren't even Divine Emperor right now. Otherwise, we would definitely follow the Alliance leader. They all sighed and shook their heads. Unfortunately, only one Divine Emperor could appear in a world. Otherwise, they would definitely be able to go with Tianyun. You don't have to worry. After I kill the artifact spirit, I will gain control of this place. However, the main reason why they have such a restriction is because they have consumed too many resources, which is why they have limited each world to only one Divine Emperor. Tianyun looked at them and said, however, the resources will be greatly improved. I can control the rest of the worlds, so the resources of the other worlds will all belong to us. Doesn't this mean that we will rule over the rest of the worlds? They were excited. It was equivalent to completely turning over and becoming the master. That's right, when the time comes, we will become the masters of this place. However, for the other worlds, avoid killing and let everything operate as it is. Turning them into our own forces is the most important thing. Tianyun said in a deep voice, just the strength of our world is far from enough. If we can gather all of our strength together, we will be able to greatly increase our strength. Naturally, he would not be like the evil spirit race, who not only occupied other people's resources, but also completely annihilated them. What he needed was coexistence. He wanted to see the existence of a great alliance. After all, in so many great worlds, they were all pawns of others. Why not join hands and fight together? But if they resist, then destroy them. Tianyun's simple words caused them to tremble in fear. He had never been lenient towards those who did not obey. This was just like the evil spirit race. Even if there were many innocent people among them, they would still be annihilated. It had to be said that his heart was a little dark. It was impossible for him to be lenient. Not to mention the other worlds, he had never been lenient towards even the forces of the Kai Yuan world. Thus, with regards to the evil spirit race's invasion of the Kai Yuan world, it could only be said that the winner was the king and the loser was the thief. Without much discussion, they quickly moved on to the next plan. They began to plan how to unify all the great worlds and turn them into their own forces. Using violence would not make it easy to command them. Killing them in one go was not a problem, but commanding them was a completely different matter. This meant that the difficulty was extremely high and it would take a lot of time to lead them. As for what to do, it was up to Shi Shuiyun and the others to decide. Tianyun didn't have the time to do such things. What he needed was to leave this world and head to that new world. In the following period of time, Tianyun quickly made arrangements and handed the corresponding control over to Shi Shuiyun and the others. They held the power to kill. Even a god emperor would be crushed under such power. Are you leaving? When Shi Shuiyun saw that Tianyun was about to leave, she rushed forward and hugged him. It's almost time. Tianyun hugged her and sighed deeply. I thought that everything would be over. Now, it seems that I still have a lot of things to do. Shi Shuiyun didn't reply. Instead, she hugged him quietly, as if everything had frozen. After a while, Shi Shuiyun left his embrace and smiled with tears in her eyes. I'll wait for you to come back. When you come back, you'll find that everything here is different. I'll help you rule over this chaos realm. Tianyun was touched. He knew that Shi Shuiyun would definitely be able to do what she said. She had said before that she would defend Tianyun's country. She would definitely make proper arrangements and leave everything to her. The truth was indeed true. The Kai Yuan world had been taken care of perfectly by her. She was the woman behind Tianyun. On the surface, the Kai Yuan world seemed to be his. But on the inside, he knew that without Shi Shuiyun, the power that Tianyun controlled would have collapsed long ago. Tianyun hugged her gently again. Everything was silent. He had already told them everything he needed to say. Everything that needed to be prepared was ready. As long as it wasn't an invincible god emperor, Shi Shuiyun and the others could handle it. Even if a god emperor appeared in another world, they could still suppress him. That was how powerful he was when he had control. Very soon, he returned to that special space, which was the space that the artifact spirit had led them to. After passing through several voids, a teleportation formation came into view. This teleportation array looked very ancient. There was an extremely obscure divine seal on it. Even Tianyun couldn't understand it. This meant that it wasn't something that a 9th-grade divine seal master could control. It was an existence of a higher grade. It seems that once I step on this teleportation array, I will leave this world. Tianyun didn't hesitate. He stepped onto the teleportation array. He flicked his finger. The teleportation array started to vibrate. Then, a beam of divine light shrouded him and took him away from this world. He didn't disappear immediately. Instead, he rose up bit by bit, as if he was being pulled up. At the topmost area, a door of light appeared. The energy that came from the door of light was far from what this place could compare with. Ding! Prepare to go to the new world. Due to the great changes in the new world, everything can't be used. You can only choose 2 divine skills now. Once you go to the new world, you can't use the rest. The system's voice stunned him. He could only choose 2 divine skills. This meant that if he didn't choose the rest of the divine skills, He would be crippled when he went to the new world? Then, piles of divine skills were listed in front of him. He had to choose the one he needed the most. Among them, the crazy mode was in the list. Needless to say, he had to choose it. He didn't need the rest of the divine skills, but he definitely had to use the crazy mode. This was his strongest killer move. After choosing the crazy mode, there was only one divine skill left. After choosing it, there was no other choice. One by one, the divine skills flashed through his mind. Many of the divine skills that he used to use in the past were no longer used. However, in the end, he chose the appraisal eye. He really had no choice. The appraisal eye was also very important. It could clearly see the other party's background. Naturally, it was a must. Choose the crazy mode and the appraisal eye. He had no choice. There were many other divine skills that he wanted, but he couldn't continue to choose. Successfully selected the crazy mode and the appraisal eye. Both of them will be upgraded to adapt to the new world. Chapter 1843. Isn't this the Kai Yuan realm's teleportation formation? It's been tens of thousands of years and it's starting to react? The lazy guard at the side saw the teleportation formation in the corner start to flicker. He patted his mouth and yawned. He wasn't interested at all. It seemed like he wasn't interested in the people from this world at all. After a while, accompanied by waves of energy fluctuations, the teleportation formation started to shine. Very quickly, a figure appeared in front of the guard. Tianyun felt that after he passed through a special light door, he came to an extremely spacious place. However, there wasn't any energy here. It was different from the celestial realm he imagined. He thought that there would be a higher grade of energy here. It seemed different? Aboriginal from Kai Yuan realm, come over here. The guard waved at him and gestured for him to come over. Tianyun raised his head and looked over. The appraisal eye was still in the process of upgrading and adapting to this new environment. Basically, it couldn't be used now. However, he could still clearly feel that the guard's cultivation was at the level of a Middle Emperor god. A mere guard was actually at the level of a Middle Emperor god. It was really hard to imagine. No wonder the artifact's spirit could kill god emperors like Ant. The guards here were all god emperors. The weaker god emperors were nothing. Tianyun didn't resist. He went over obediently. He had to find out more about this place. After all, this place was blank and he didn't know anything. He came in front of the guard and pretended to be very respectful. Greetings, sir. May I know where this place is? The guard frowned and said, Why? The artifact's spirit from your trashy world didn't explain it to you? He looked at Tianyun with disdain. He was high and mighty like he was looking at trash. I really didn't. I guess I forgot. Tianyun found an excuse. He clenched his fists and was ready to fight at any time. If the guard went to investigate, he would immediately choose to kill him to prevent the news from leaking. There was only one guard here. As for the situation outside, he didn't know. There's a saying about forgetting? This doesn't make sense. In every world here, there should be an explanation for those who have successfully passed through. The guard frowned and stared at him, saying in a low voice, This artifact's spirit might be slacking off. These guys have to be properly managed. Why did it throw these tasks to us? At the same time, he sized up the situation around him. In this spacious hall, other than the teleportation array in the area he had just come out from, there were many other teleportation arrays. Could it be that the other teleportation arrays were also teleportation points to other worlds? As far as the eye could see, there were at least hundreds and thousands of teleportation arrays here. Didn't that mean there were hundreds and thousands of worlds here? This really subverted everything he knew. The world he was in immediately became very small. I might have really been slacking off. But sir, you can tell me about it. Tianyun smiled. Scram. I don't have time to explain things to a native like you. The guard waved his hand and said unhappily, Let me check the situation over there, and see what the artifact spirit is up to. With that, the guard strode towards the world where Yi Tianyun was, wanting to check on the situation of the artifact spirit there. Yi Tianyun's eyes darkened. It seemed that things weren't so simple to fool. However, he didn't say much and chose to follow behind. His current system hadn't finished upgrading and adapting to it yet. He still needed some time. Without the crazy damage mode, as a lower celestial emperor, it was extremely difficult for him to deal with it. The main thing was that everything else was gone. What bloodline, what martial arts, even the devil emperor set and the like were all gone. They were all cleared out, not a single thing was left. Those were all from the Kaiyuan world, so they couldn't be brought to this world. Or rather, they couldn't be used even if they were brought to this world. Without the support of various abilities, Yi Tianyun found it a little difficult to fight above his level. However, it wasn't that he didn't have a chance. As long as the sneak attack was perfect, everything would be fine. Soon, the guard came to the side of the teleportation formation and grabbed at the void. A golden light immediately poured into the teleportation formation and started to communicate with it. Yi Tianyun aimed at the weak point of the guard. The primal chaos core in his body started to revolve as he prepared for a sneak attack. He had to kill in one blow, otherwise it would cause terrifying consequences. After all, the guard was a middle celestial emperor. If he requested for support, a captain or something like that might be a upper celestial emperor or even an existence stronger than a celestial emperor. Jumping levels to kill a middle god emperor might not be a problem to him, but jumping levels to kill a high god emperor, or an existence that had surpassed the god emperor realm, was something impossible. Without powerful equipment, it was really difficult to deal with them. Even if those super geniuses could kill above their level, they had to rely on amazing martial arts, amazing equipment, and that amazing bloodline to be able to accomplish it. Without these basic conditions, how could it be possible to kill above their level? That would be living in a dream. After the guard checked, he said doubtfully, "Strange, why didn't the artifact spirit contact me? What happened?" Previous chapter. Next chapter. Boom. A berserk power fiercely smashed into his head. The guard didn't even have time to react before his head was smashed apart by a single punch. The soul that was trapped inside started to scream miserably as it fled towards the sky. "Ah, damn it, you native actually ambushed me!" The guard's soul wasn't destroyed by the punch. His body was destroyed and his soul was injured, but he still didn't die. Yi Tianyun reacted quickly and quickly grabbed it. The primal chaos core in his body surged out a special primal chaos force and instantly enveloped the guard's soul, sealing it in his palm. Although a lot of things were gone, circulating the energy in his body was still not a problem. This power is really strong. I thought that I wouldn't be able to kill him with a single punch, but I didn't expect that I would be able to kill him with a single punch. Yi Tianyun was overjoyed. At the same time, he could feel that his strength had an absolute suppression effect. "Ah, you trashy native, hurry up and let me out. Kneel down and beg for mercy, or else I'll make you die without a burial ground." The guard screamed miserably, filled with anger towards Yi Tianyun. Even though he was imprisoned, he was still so arrogant. "If you don't want to die, then shut up. Otherwise, I'll crush you." Chapter 1844. What's wrong? Not arrogant anymore? Yi Tianyun looked at the obedient soul in his hand and sneered. It seemed that in the face of death, the guard surrendered obediently. "Please let me go. As long as you let me go, I will not pursue this matter. At the same time, I will arrange a good position for you so that you don't have to go to the front line." The guard hurriedly begged for mercy, hoping that Yi Tianyun would not kill him. Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. In just a few words, he had learned a lot of information. The front line was probably similar to the situation of a war. In other words, after coming from these worlds, they immediately entered the special battlefield, selected elite soldiers, and then became cannon fodder? If you want to live, it's very simple. As long as you answer me obediently, I will let you go. Etienne's eyes flickered. Is this true? The guard hurriedly asked. Absolutely true. Of course, you have no other choice now. You can choose to believe it or not. Etienne slightly increased the strength in his hand as a threat. I believe it, I believe it! The guard screamed. He really did not want to die or was very afraid of death. Some people were just so cowardly. Well, I will ask you one thing at a time. First, where is this place? Etienne asked. This is the ancestral land of the celestial terminus, the guard quickly replied. The ancestral land of the celestial terminus. Etienne had naturally never heard of it. He then continued to ask, what is the meaning of the teleportation array here? You don't know anything about this? The artifact spirit should be able to tell you everything, at least to let you know the situation here. I killed the artifact spirit, Etienne answered simply and rudely. Killed by you? The guard was shocked. Impossible, the artifact spirit is supported by a large array. Even a star apostle in the late stage cannot kill it. Even a normal star master may not be able to break it. You are just a star apostle in the middle stage, how could you kill it? Answer me obediently or you'll die. Etienne tightened his grip, causing the guard to scream again. However, he also became obedient. This place selects the most outstanding star apostles from a group of natives. They will then participate in the battle, help clear the giant beasts, or collect ores and the like. The guard answered obediently. Soon after, Etienne dug out all the information from the guard's side, and finally understood the general situation. The details were simple and straightforward. It was to select the strongest star apostle from the various great world. The existence known as the Emperor God was actually a star apostle. To put it simply, he was a powerhouse who had mastered the power of a planet. Star apostle was considered a relatively high level, and in the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land, it was considered a pretty good position. At the very least, they were much weaker than some commoners. Only those who had cultivated the powerful planet power could be called star disciples. Cultivation levels were also differentiated here, and they were also extremely strict. It was roughly as follows: Star Apprentice, Star Master, Star Great Master, Star Monarch. Each level was divided into early, middle, and late cultivation levels. The so-called upper, middle, and low levels were simply divided into early, middle, and late levels. There was not much difference in essence. Lower emperor gods in the early, middle, and late levels were more or less the same. However, there was no such subdivision here, and it was directly divided into large levels. The main reason was that the environment here was different, and it was difficult to make a difference in this subdivision. It was not like the great worlds below, where a little stronger could crush the other party. It was not so simple here. The energy levels in the environment were different, so there was naturally no need for such subdivisions. The strongest person here was the Star Lord, and the ruler of the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land was the Star Lord. It was the Star Lord's method to set up these great worlds and select the Emperor Gods, who were also Star Apostles. The Star Lord's method was very simple and crude. He captured all the weak people in this world, threw them into another world, and finally selected the Star Apostles. This meant that Etienne was originally a cultivator of this world, but he was trapped in an extremely weak world. After coming up, he would be enslaved. In theory, it was not enslavement, but it was similar. He would be sent to the battlefield to open up new territory, kill the huge beasts in those mysterious and unknown regions, and then obtain new territories. Or he would be involved in all sorts of mining and become a miner. These were all very low-level jobs. It was a world of difference from being a god-emperor and being respected by tens of thousands of people. The Empyrean Terminus Star Lord was very kind and set up rewards. Those in charge of opening up new territory and killing huge beasts would be rewarded with military merit. Even mining would be rewarded with military merit. These military merits could be used to exchange for all sorts of treasures, freedom, and even one's hometown. There was no such thing as freedom in this place. After coming up, one would be restricted by the next layer, unable to escape this place. To obtain freedom, one had to have enough military merit. Otherwise, one would have to do these jobs and achieve perfection. After gaining freedom, one would be able to do other things and obtain more military merit. When the time came, one would be able to exchange for one's hometown, and it would become one's possession. As for the military merits required, it was a terrifying number. It was impossible to obtain so many military merits in tens of thousands of years. Or rather, one might not even be able to exchange for one's own freedom, much less one's hometown. After knowing this, Tianyun felt a sense of humiliation. This was an era where the weak were prey to the strong. Whoever had the bigger fist was in the right. It seemed that they were not even pawns. The high and mighty Empyrean Terminus Star Lord would not care about them at all. It was just these guards who were really in charge of them. Is this the same situation in other ancestral lands? Tianyun stared coldly at the guard, anger rising in his heart. No. Other ancestral lands also screen out star apostles, but they don't screen out absolute elites like this. As the guard spoke, his tone became arrogant and proud. However, it's the survival of the fittest that makes our Empyrean Terminus ancestral lands stronger and stronger. Compared to other ancestral lands, we accept all kinds of trash. It's like a garbage recycling station. Oh, what about you? Do you also screen people so cruelly? Tianyun stared at him with burning eyes. How is that possible? How can we be compared with trash aborigines like you? The guard said without thinking, the resources we enjoy are not on the same level as yours. You are destined to work hard. Even if you work hard to accumulate enough military merits, you will still be at the bottom. The guard's soul was almost crushed. He was so scared that he hurriedly begged for mercy. I am sorry, I was talking nonsense, Chapter 1845. Thanks to Tianyun's understanding, he finally understood the cruelty of the celestial pole ancestral land. In this world, it was not limited to the celestial pole ancestral land. There were many other ancestral lands. The ancestral lands here were actually a force, but they were called ancestral lands. The other ancestral lands were not so cruel. Perhaps they also kept a group of mortals in a circle to form a world, but at least they would not kill and kill. Instead, they would unify and manage them. After understanding it in detail, Tianyun found that it was not a bad thing. In each ancestral land, there were trillions of lives, and many of them had poor talent. Therefore, they were all moved to a world with reduced effects and let them stay there to cultivate. When their cultivation improved, they would be promoted. If they were born in the ancestral land, it would hurt their confidence. The gap was too big, and they might as well stay in those low-level worlds. In the end, everything in these worlds was man-made. However, the planets inside were natural, not something a star venerate could create. To put it simply, a star venerate took a small planet outside the ancestral land and threw it into a world. After knowing the details, Tianyun's favorable impression of the celestial pole ancestral land immediately changed to that of hatred. He already hated it, but now he hated it even more. After all, the other ancestral lands were not so cruel. Instead, they chose a more suitable area for them to cultivate. When outstanding disciples came up, they would be put in an important position. Here, they would be enslaved, and they would need military merits to exchange for their freedom. This situation occurred mainly because cultivators were divided into different ranks. There were also many mortals in the vast ancestral land. Even if the environment here was more comfortable, there were still many areas without dense spiritual energy, so their cultivation progress was naturally poor. To the celestial pole ancestral land, they were natives, born inferior. In fact, it was not only the celestial pole ancestral land. Many ancestral lands had the same idea. It was not surprising that they had this idea. Even in the Kaiyuan realm, they had this idea. Back then, Fan Yu was also discriminated against. It even extended to discrimination against humans. Tianyun was not surprised by this. The winner was king, and the loser was in the wrong. He did not have the strength to resist, so he could only do so. Now it was different. He didn't want his fate to be in the hands of others. Lord of the Celestial Terminus. Tianyun's eyes darkened. The pressure had multiplied. He had just arrived, but he was already facing such a huge figure. The difference in their cultivations was huge. They were millions of times stronger than God Emperors. If they knew that a small world had rebelled, they would definitely send out experts to annihilate them. At that time, the Kaiyuan world would definitely be in danger. The Celestial Terminus Star Lord absolutely would not allow anyone to disobey him. It could even be said that no lord would want their subordinates to rebel against them. I've said everything I need to say. It's time to let me go. Don't worry, I definitely won't say anything. I'll definitely keep it a secret for you. The guard hurriedly added. Yes, I've asked everything I need to. You can go now. Tianyun threw the soul in his hand away. The guard hastily flew out. At the same time, he thought viciously in his heart, wait till this daddy escapes. How dare you destroy my physical body? When the time comes, I will kill all of you natives. Just as this thought popped up in his mind, a palm grabbed him and pinched him again. What are you doing? Didn't you say that you would let me go? The guard panicked. Yes, I already let you go, but now you're caught by me again. Tianyun grinned. Now you can die. You're shameless. Before the guard could finish his words, Tianyun crushed his soul and completely disappeared from this world. There was no way Tianyun would let this guard go. How could he believe their nonsense? If he let the guard go now, he would be completely blocked at the door in the next second. He wouldn't even be able to escape. Ding. Successfully killed the guard. Obtained 10-star energy points. Simple guard equipment set. Ding. System evolution complete. Starting official activation, activating appraisal eye, activating crazy mode. At this time, the system could be considered to have completed its upgrade. All aspects were officially activated. The data that could be seen in front of him immediately increased a lot, but there were also a lot of things that were also reduced. For example, the crazy mode, which originally could be increased by 128 times, was reduced to 12. 8 times in one go. This meant that it was reduced to 10% in one go. This effect, isn't it a bit too harsh? Tianyun looked at the system after the upgrade and suddenly felt a bit speechless. But what is this star energy? Tianyun checked and found that all the data was classified as one thing: star energy. Star energy can be regarded as experience. It can also be regarded as crazy point. It can be exchanged for almost anything. To put it bluntly, all the data was classified as one and shared. It wasn't as detailed as before, but it was simplified. However, after the upgrade, the system was empty, there was nothing inside. Originally, there were a lot of equipment sets in the Sin Mall, but now there was nothing. Divine skill, lottery system, fusion system, and so on, they were all gone. The system is in a state of half-upgrade. I need to complete the main mission to fully upgrade and adapt to this world. When Tianyun saw the line of description, he suddenly understood what was going on. He has always had a main mission, and that is to complete the unification of the Chaos Realm. The Chaos Realm is the world he is in. As for why it is called the Chaos Realm, he is not very clear. The reward for completing the mission is the system evolution in all aspects. It seems that at that time the system will be complete. Now there are only one or two things that can be used, such as the shop to buy experience cards and so on, all of them are gone. It seems that I have to wait for the Chaos Realm to be unified before the rest can be officially activated. Tianyun shook his head. He did not know that there was such a thing. It seems that there is a great difference in the realm, causing the system to be unable to operate, and it needs to evolve to adapt to this place. Fortunately, it is quite humane, can temporarily bring two divine skills, especially crazy mode. This is very important. Even if it is weakened by 10%, at least it can be used. Star energy, now can only be used to upgrade and crazy mode consumables. Chapter 1846. After the evolution of the system, not only did it convert into star energy, but also the sin points, crazy points, experience points, and so on. They didn't lose their effect immediately, but they were converted according to a certain ratio. After all the conversion, he found that he only had 43 points. 43 points plus 10 points of star energy from killing enemies. He had a total of 53 points. This meant that he could level up now, directly to the level of Star Apostle. However, he didn't do so. After all, if he used it, it would be empty immediately. If he used Crazy Mode, he really couldn't take out anything. With 50 points, I can level up to the level of Star Apostle. This is really a little different. Tianyun shook his head. Star Apostle sounded very low level, not as domineering as God Emperor. But this was just the name of the world below. In this world, it was just an ordinary Star Apostle, which was the existence of a beginner. Of course, a beginner was much stronger than many of the original residents of this world. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been chosen. Immediately, he began to search the guard's treasury. There were piles of elixirs inside. If any one of them was thrown in the Kaiyuan world, it would cause a bloodbath. These elixirs were of the 8th and 9th grade, which were rare in the world below. What 10,000-year-old elixirs were extremely rare in the world below. Here, they could only be regarded as ordinary. Tianyun didn't rush to go out. Instead, he explored here first. When he came above these teleportation arrays, he could feel the situation below. It was the same as the Chaos Realm he was in. There were many great worlds inside, but the attributes were different. However, it was largely the same, and they were all similar in form. With the management of the artifact spirit, they also fought and killed each other, and finally, the strongest God Emperor was selected to be promoted. However, he couldn't teleport in. He was restricted. This meant that he could only teleport out but not in. In the end, he couldn't completely control the authority here. The authority here was not the teleportation array, but the entire palace. It was the condensation array in this palace that maintained these teleportation arrays. If he wanted to go back or enter other worlds, he must gain control of the palace. After the enhancement of the appraisal eye, he understood a little bit about this originally obscure array. Star Pattern Level 1 Energy Gathering Array. Star Pattern Rank. Tianyun's eyes flashed. Although he didn't know what kind of array this was, he at least knew what level it was. This was known as the Star Pattern grade. Upon closer inspection, one would notice that the energy of a planet was flowing within it, forming an extremely integrated state. Such a grade was already out of his reach, unless he upgraded his ability in this aspect. However, the evolution of the system was not complete. It was a semi-finished product. As for leveling up in this aspect, it was still impossible, and the grade remained the same. As such, even if it could be used here, it would only be at the 9th grade Divine Sealing Master level. He might be able to display his strength in some ordinary forces, but it was impossible for him to break the star rune formation. Therefore, he could not enter other worlds, including his own world. Even if the artifact spirit died, it still wouldn't be able to enter. It was no wonder that the guard could only investigate the situation below, and could not go in directly. I wonder if the teleportation god stone can be used here? Skills couldn't be used, but the items were definitely still there. No matter what, these things belonged to him, not the systems. For example, the equipment could also be used here. Immediately, he took out the teleportation god stone and tried to use it to see if he could be teleported back. Unfortunately, after using it, there was no reaction at all. The teleportation god stone couldn't bring him back to the chaotic realm. It had no effect at all. I wonder if I can use it here. After setting the coordinates here, Tianyun tried to use it again and found that it could still be used. This meant that he just couldn't pass through the layers of restrictions, but it wouldn't be ineffective forever. This was a very pleasant surprise for him. At least when he went out later, he could sneak back in without being noticed. If he couldn't use it, it would be a big loss. Let's go out and see what's going on outside. After stepping out of the door, Tianyun saw a long corridor outside, and there was an exit at the end. Apart from that, there were no other exits, not even extra guards. He didn't know whether the celestial terminus ancestral land was too confident in itself or something else, but there were no extra guards here. He lifted his foot and walked out. As he passed through the long corridor, suddenly, a light surged from all directions and began to envelop him. Tianyun was quickly enveloped, and then a brand was imprinted on his soul, wanting to leave a soul imprint on his soul. It's a slave imprint. Tianyun was shocked. Although he hadn't seen this imprint before, he felt that it was definitely a slave imprint. As long as he was imprinted with this imprint, he would be a slave of the celestial terminus ancestral land. At that time, he wouldn't be able to resist the higher-ups. The rules of the celestial terminus ancestral land were the rules. When he wanted to resist, he found that he couldn't resist at all. This power was too strong, and it was far from what he could resist at his current level. I can't be imprinted with a slave imprint, absolutely not. He didn't want to be a slave here. He already hated the celestial terminus ancestral land. If he could move away from the chaotic realm, he would immediately leave this place. But he couldn't do that for the time being. At the same time, he didn't want to be a slave here. At that time, he wouldn't be able to do anything he wanted to do. For example, he wouldn't be able to leave the celestial terminus ancestral land even if he wanted to. As he struggled, the slave imprint slightly slowed down, but that was all. The powerful slave imprint still suppressed him and engulfed his soul consciousness. There were many layers of traps here, so how could it be easily resisted? The celestial terminus ancestral land had expected that the star apostles from below would be very arrogant and wouldn't obey. Or it could be said that they would obey on the surface, but in their hearts they wouldn't obey. The soul imprint was especially important. Tie him up and see if he still wouldn't be convinced? It seems that I still can't resist in the end. Tianyun felt a little helpless. Was he going to be controlled just like that? His heart was filled with unwillingness as he watched his soul being imprinted with a soul imprint. But the next moment, the five-colored emperor dragon in the center of his body suddenly started roaring, and an impact force surged out of his body and dispersed the imprint on his soul, causing it to disappear without a trace. Chapter 1847. This is amazing. This five-colored emperor dragon can even help me suppress my soul brand. Tianyun felt a supreme power from the power released by the five-colored emperor dragon, but he could not tell what kind of power it was. In short, it was a power that was superior to this place, which had dispelled and suppressed the soul brand. Fortunately, I'm not controlled. Otherwise, it would be difficult for me to make a comeback. If he had been suppressed, it would have been difficult for him to find a solution quickly. According to the procedure here, he had to first obtain freedom and then exchange for his own world. The process required an astonishing amount of military merit. He did not know how long it would take for him to accumulate enough military merit points. By then, the death of the weapon spirit would probably be discovered. If he was lucky, he would not be discovered. However, he did not dare to take the risk. Therefore, he had to find a way to move his own world away now. After moving away, he would not have to worry about anything. However, if he wanted to move away now, he would have to destroy this palace. If he destroyed it, it would definitely attract attention, and he would not be able to leave easily. He would be breaking the rules, and the elites of the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land would definitely not allow it. If there were no rules, how would the other enslaved star apostles obey them? If there was an exception, many of their subordinates would definitely rebel. They just wanted to tie down the star apostles from below and make them work for them for the rest of their lives. First, they had to buy freedom, and then they had to buy their hometown. After completing these two tasks, they would have done many things for the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land. If they could really complete so many military merits and survive, the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land would be more than happy to return their hometown to them. While thinking about this, he had already stepped out of the passageway. He saw a circle of passageways, which were exactly the same as the one he had just come out of. Apart from the many doors in front of him that were different, the rest of the passageways looked almost the same. When he came out, there happened to be several cultivators coming out of several passageways in front of him. They were all of different races. Tianyun looked up and used the appraisal eye to get the detailed information of the people around him. They are all early-stage star apostles, and the stronger ones are mid-stage star apostles. Tianyun finally understood what was going on. There were thousands of worlds in this palace, and they were divided into many areas. Seeing their dejected looks, Tianyun knew that they had been marked with slave marks. The high and mighty God Emperor was just a lowly star disciple here, an existence at the bottom. When they found out about this reality, they must have suffered a strong blow. All of you, hurry up and come over here. Don't delay. The guard standing in the central area roared in dissatisfaction, signaling those who had come out to gather around him. Accompanied by a roar, they were shocked. This kind of impact really scared them. Just a roar alone was enough to make them take a few steps back. Tianyun looked up and saw that the guard in the central area had a relatively high cultivation level. He was a late-stage star apostle. However, compared to ordinary star apostles, which were star apostles from the lower levels, their cohesiveness was much stronger. Through the appraisal eye, they were all calculated by star power. If the star apostles from the lower levels had a combined star power of 100 points, then the guards here had a combined star power of more than 200 points, which was double. This was the difference in intrinsic strength, which was also the difference in foundation. He did not expect them to be so much stronger. Perhaps there was a difference in strength because they had cultivated in this environment. What did you do to me? How dare you mark my soul with a slave mark? One of the star apostles rushed up and roared. He obviously could not accept this situation. Get lost! The guard aimed at the star apostle and slapped him in the air. The slap sent him flying, and his face was covered in blood. An emperor god had been slapped so hard that he could not fight back. Who gave you the courage to speak to me so loudly? Mark means that you are a member of the celestial terminus ancestral land. Do whatever we tell you to do. The guard looked at them coldly and said, If you resist, you will die. Under normal circumstances, we will not use this mark, so you will not be forcibly controlled. Don't worry about that. Next, I will give you tasks. Come over here one by one. As he spoke, his aura increased and a shadow of a starry sky appeared behind him. If one looked closely, they would see that it was a giant golden dragon star. A golden dragon was circling around it, emitting the aura of the golden dragon. A strong dragon aura descended, making it difficult for them to breathe. At this time, they finally compromised and obediently walked over to the guard. Tianyun's eyes lit up. This was the power of the powerful star power. Every cultivator had star power in their body. Different types of star power could be used to activate different types of star power. Looking at the void above them, they could vaguely see some star power that they could not see. The guard in front of them had the golden dragon star, which belonged to the second level of star power. In this world, the most important thing was the star power. The highest level was the sixth level. Generally, those who could activate the star power were considered to have good talent. Some didn't even have it. They all had star power, but they didn't have the Dharma idol star power. The difference between them was huge. The data displayed by the appraisal eye kept jumping, which was the best proof. Under the display of the golden dragon star, his battle power rose by several levels, far surpassing them. No wonder he could become the captain here. How could he be the captain here without this ability? After they walked over, the guard captain retracted the golden dragon star power, and the pressure instantly disappeared. Very good. That's right. The guard took out a stack of tokens and gave them to them. These are your tokens. Take these tokens and follow me. After they got the tokens, they followed the guard captain. After passing through the gate, they did not see the outside area, but a big palace. However, this palace was a little strange. There was an altar in the center, and the top was empty, facing the void above. When they walked in and looked up, they could see the countless stars in the sky. It was the power of the star power. When Tianyun saw the power of the star power, he had a feeling that he could only see it but not touch it. In other words, it was an area that couldn't be reached by flying. Apart from them, there was another group of people in front who were already taking the test. They lined up above the altar and stood there, feeling the power of the star power above. Chapter 1848. There was a large group of star apostles here, but the number of star apostles below could be counted with one's fingers. This was normal. There were so many worlds in this area, and there would be a small group of star apostles at almost every time. There were not many of them, but there would always be a large number of star apostles arriving here one after another. Every week, or even every day, there would be a star apostle who successfully ascended. You guys wait here. When it's your turn, go up. The captain of the guards gestured for them to stay at the side, then turned around and walked back. His task had been accomplished for the time being. He was actually just a guide. Other than the captain of the guards, there was also a powerful deacon Bao Yang at the side, constantly recording the test results of the star apostles. He had a serious expression and did not smile at all. No matter what the results of the star apostles were, it was meaningless to him. "Friend, which world are you from?" A star apostle at the side, who had nothing to do, started to ask the star apostle next to him. However, the star apostle ignored him and did not even bother to say a word. He looked arrogant, as if he was not on the same level as the star apostle. The star apostle just wanted to say a word but was ignored. However, he did not get angry, and continued to ask the star apostle next to him, not feeling awkward at all. Along the way, none of the star apostles who had come with him answered. They were either too arrogant to answer, or they were still stuck in the bottom of the valley and had not come out yet. After going through so many things, they had fallen from the top to the bottom of the valley. It was extremely tragic. How could they still be in the mood to answer the questions of others, especially when they were not familiar with them? In the end, when the star apostle asked Tianyun, Tianyun smiled faintly and said, "Friend, you seem to be in a good mood. Now that you are immersed in the ups and downs, how can you still be in the mood to chat?" That's true. The ups and downs are too great. Falling from the high and mighty altar to the lowest level is really unbearable. Xing Tu shook his head and smiled bitterly. But it is precisely because of this that I need to talk to relieve my stress. This is my personality. If I don't do this, it will be hard for me to relieve my stress. Let me get to know you. I am Emperor God Gong Yang. No, I should be called Gong Yang Star Disciple now. Just call me Gong Yang. Tianyun looked him up and down. He had to admit that Gong Yang's cultivation level was not bad. He was only at the Star Apostle middle stage. It was impressive that he could cultivate to this level. Unfortunately, he was still branded as a slave and had to work for the Celestial Pole Ancestral Land for many years. My name is Yi Tianyun. It's a pleasure to meet fellow Taoist Gong Yang. Yi Tianyun had a good impression of him for being so enthusiastic. It was good to chat with him for a while. At the very least, he could learn about the other party's situation. In any case, it wouldn't be a problem to chat with him for a while, and it wouldn't expose any secrets. So it's fellow Taoist Tianyun. Gong Yang smiled and said, "Look at this star force. It seems like we will have to draw the star force later to see what level of star force we can obtain. In other words, whether or not we can be valued will depend on this." Gong Yang had just arrived and immediately saw the situation in front of him. Anyone with a discerning eye would be able to guess what it was with just a casual glance. Yes, no matter where you go, the talented will get better treatment. Yi Tianyun looked at the test over there and deeply agreed with it. I wonder if those medicine gods, or those who have ascended to the title of God Emperor, have come here. Or did they die when they were chosen as God Emperors? Silence. Deacon Bao Yang, who was recording on the side, looked at them. His cold gaze almost penetrated their hearts. If there's a next time, I won't even let you take the test. I'll send you to the mine directly. As for the rest, I will also send you to the mine and not let you take the test. A bunch of trash natives, do you really think I want to let you take the test? How can you take the test? You are all a bunch of trash. There are only a few who can draw the level 1 star force. What a waste of time. The rest of the Star Apostles glared at Yi Tianyun and the others. If they really could not take the test, they would not even have a chance to make a comeback. Although they were scolded as trash, they could only accept it. They had no choice but to lower their heads. Gong Yang's face turned red and he clenched his fists tightly. They had only chatted for a short while, and it was almost silent. How could they disturb others? To put it bluntly, Deacon Bao Yang disliked everything, and he especially disliked them. Regardless of whether it was the Deacon Bao Yang or the guards, staying here was like being imprisoned. They did not like this job at all, especially when they met a bunch of trash among the trash. If there were outstanding Star Apostles, they would be rewarded. However, they were all low-level ones who could not even draw the level 1 star force. How could they be happy? Yi Tianyun reached out and patted his shoulder, signaling him not to be angry. He was also unhappy, but this was their territory. Even if he wanted to resist and kill this guy with a slap, he would have to think twice. Unless he could escape in one go, he would not dare to be so impulsive. Gong Yang nodded and gave him a grateful look. He could only obediently keep his mouth shut. After this small interlude, the entire palace fell silent. Only Deacon Bao Yang's voice could be heard. You can't even draw the star force. Trash. Go to the mine. Deacon Bao Yang waved his hand and told the Star Apostle to go to the mine. This Star Apostle stood on the altar and tried to draw the Star Apostle's power for a long time, but there was no sign of it. He was determined to be trash and could not draw any star power. No, trash, go to the mine. It still hasn't been activated. Trash, go to the mine too. Then, 3 Star Apostles appeared in a row and did not draw any star power. This made Deacon Bao Yang very impatient and even a little angry. In the midst of his disappointment, one of the Star Apostles finally shouted. In the void above him, a faintly discernible star force flickered, accompanied by the flickering shadow of a giant python. It descended and deeply imprinted itself into the Star Apostle's body. Giant Python Star, Level 1 Star Power. Although it is still trash, at least it is better than nothing. Go to the war and join the army. Deacon Bao Yang's expression finally softened. A low star power was better than no star power at all. Then, the other Star Apostles continued. Some of them succeeded, while others did not move at all. This made them feel extremely uneasy. If they joined the army, they would be able to obtain more military merits by killing giant beasts. As for mining, needless to say, they would not be able to obtain many military merits even if they dug until they died. Chapter 1849. As the Star Apostles went through the test one by one, the highest level was only level 1. No wonder the deacon was so angry. The first level was too low. Although it was better than nothing, it was still low. Only a second-level star Dharma idol had some value. Both the guard captain and the deacon had level 2 star Dharma, which showed how important it was. The higher the level, the more powerful it would be. It could be said that the difference was like heaven and earth. The star Dharma was destined to have great achievements in the future. Those with lower grades basically had no future to speak of. Soon, it was Yi Tianyun's turn to take the test. I wonder what star Dharma I will have? Yi Tianyun rubbed his palms excitedly. He hoped that he would have a level 2 or above. It would be embarrassing if he did not even have a star Dharma. When he came to the altar, Deacon Bao Yang pointed at him and said, "You two don't have to take the test. Go to the mine directly." Yi Tianyun was stunned and frowned. Why? We didn't take the test, and we might not even have a level 2. How can we be assigned to the mine directly? Deacon Bao Yang looked at Yi Tianyun as if he was looking at a piece of trash. The results are the same. The highest is only level 1. So what? Trash is trash. Just report to the mine directly. I can't accept this, Yi Tianyun said in a low voice. Even if you only have a level 1 star Dharma, you can go to the army. Isn't it unreasonable to be assigned to the mine? It was one thing for these guys to be prejudiced, that was something he could accept. But now, he was directly judged to be going to the mine without even taking a test. This was too unfair. What I said is reasonable. Deacon Bao Yang looked at him coldly. You don't have any ability, so why are you still complaining? I hope you can think about yourself in the mine and don't make such a stupid mistake again. The rest of the star apostles on the side all had gloating expressions on their faces. This was the consequence of speaking outside, or in other words, provoking Deacon Bao Yang. Here they were reasonable. Who dared to disobey them? Yi Tianyun's face sank, and Gong Yang's face is also ugly. He didn't expect that his little chat would cause such a thing. I will take responsibility for my own actions. I was the one who started this. Gong Yang stood up and cupped his fists as he said, Mr. Deacon, this is my problem, not Cultivator Tianyun's. If you want to punish someone, punish me. Gong Yang did not back down. Instead, he chose to stand up and take responsibility. I said that both of you will be sent to the mine. Just because you take responsibility doesn't mean that he doesn't have to go. Don't tell me that I didn't make myself clear? Whatever I say goes, no one can change my mind. Deacon Bao Yang looked at him mockingly. No matter how much Gong Yang pleaded, it was useless. Gong Yang. He knew that he would implicate Yi Tianyun. When he was about to say something, Yi Tianyun stood up and said indifferently, You are abusing your power, there is no such rule here, right? The normal rule was to first pass the test and obtain the Dharma idol before being sent to the corresponding area. You're skipping the rules and abusing your private rights. Although the rule here was to listen to the orders of the higher-ups, there were some things that couldn't be overstepped. For example, Deacon Bao Yang had overstepped his authority. However, none of the guards or other star apprentices said anything. They were all waiting for a good show. Deacon Bao Yang looked at him coldly. You're courting death. How dare you say that I'm abusing my power? This is disobeying orders, a capital crime. Deacon Bao Yang was instantly enraged. Disobeying his orders was a capital offense. Then, he turned his hand and slammed it towards Yi Tianyun. Behind him, the Dharma form of the giant ape appeared, and the explosive force increased by more than 3 times. The essence of the great ape star was to enhance one's strength. It could greatly enhance the strength of the user, and it could crush the opponent with its violent strength. With the help of the star Dharma idol, Deacon Bao Yang seemed to have transformed into a giant ape. He swung his fist and smashed it down from the sky, destroying heaven and earth. He was merciless and merciless. In his opinion, these people were just a bunch of ants. If they died, they died. The higher-ups would not hold them accountable. In this place, they were kings, and no one could control them. Tianyun's eyes flashed. Without fear, he also swung his fist and counterattacked. Crazy mode activate. Even if it was not 128 times the power, the 8 times increase in combat power was enough to crush a bunch of star Dharma idols. Bang! It was a simple and violent punch. It could be said that it was a fist against a fist. However, under such a bombardment, the giant ape hand that was smashing down was destroyed by his punch. Even Deacon Bao Yang was sent flying by this punch, and a large part of his body caved in. This scene stunned everyone. He didn't even have the star Dharma idol, and his cultivation was weaker than Deacon Bao Yang's. How could he crush Deacon Bao Yang? Tianyun quickly stepped forward and appeared in front of Deacon Bao Yang in the next second. When Deacon Bao Yang tried to get up, he stepped on his chest. A capital crime? I should be the one sentencing you to death. You, how dare you? Deacon Bao Yang's eyes were filled with fear. He never thought that Tianyun would be able to resist his power. How could Tianyun, who hadn't even awakened his star Dharma idol, have the power to resist him? Kacha Tianyun stomped down hard on Deacon Bao Yang's chest, causing it to explode. At the same time, Deacon Bao Yang's head was also crushed. Successfully killed Deacon Bao Yang. Obtained 128 star energy points. Tianyun was stunned when he heard that he could only obtain star energy points. It seemed that the drop rate had dropped quite a bit. Not even a single treasure had been dropped. Of course, even if it hadn't dropped, it wouldn't have mattered. He swept away Deacon Bao Yang's storage ring. There were many things inside as well. When the others saw this scene, they were all dumbfounded. Deacon Bao Yang had died just like that, right in front of them. Before the guards could react, they saw Tianyun kill Deacon Bao Yang. Gong Yang was dumbfounded. If it were him, he wouldn't have dared to do this. Not only was the difference in cultivation too great, but this was someone else's territory. How could he resist? He didn't dare to resist, but Tianyun did. If he was sent to the mines, he would be finished. There would definitely be more guards there, and it would be even more difficult to escape. Moreover, Deacon Bao Yang was about to kill him, so how could he just stand there and let himself be killed? That wasn't his style. Or perhaps it was better to say that forbearance had never been his style. He would kill when he had to. Chapter 1850. Without giving the guards any time to react, Tianyun rushed forward and punched a guard. In the blink of an eye, all the guards had died at his hands. They did not even have a chance to resist. He had also easily earned a large amount of star energy, enough for him to level up. Especially after his system had been upgraded and he could use Crazy Mode, he did not hesitate to activate Crazy Mode, which increased his star energy by 8 times. This way, he could easily break through to the mid-stage Star Apostle level. However, he did not need to break through for the time being, and he was not in a hurry to do so. In the blink of an eye, all the guards with Dharma powers had been killed. What was left was a group of Star Apostles who were dumbfounded. They were all dumbfounded. When Tianyun looked over, they all took a few steps back, worried that Tianyun would silence them. You've gotten yourself into big trouble. You've actually killed all the guards here. Who knows, you might even implicate us. That's right, you've caused a huge disaster. Especially with the soul imprint. Even if you try to escape, you won't be able to. Damn it, we might be implicated. They all had sullen faces. If they were implicated, then they would all die. Tianyun could not be bothered with them. Instead, he turned to Gong Yang. If I continue to stay here, I'm afraid I'll implicate you. I'll take my leave first. I hope we'll meet again if fate allows it. He had a good impression of Gong Yang. Gong Yang had stepped forward to take the blame, which was a very responsible act. Although it seemed like he had implicated Yi Tianyun, more importantly, it was because Deacon Bao Yang looked down on their lives and treated them as if they were not alive. If they made him unhappy, they would all be sentenced to death. All right, we'll meet again if fate allows it. But that soul imprint. Gong Yang was still very worried. Don't worry, I can deal with it myself. Yi Tianyun would not say that he did not have a soul imprint. He did not delay any longer and turned to rush out of the palace gate. If he was discovered, he would not even have time to escape. In the blink of an eye, he rushed out of the palace gate alone. What greeted his eyes was a boundless mountain forest. This huge palace was built in the forest. It was surrounded by a dense forest, like a city wall, surrounding the palace layer by layer. As soon as he came out, there were a few guards in front of him who were arranging the star apprentices to board the spirit boats in front of them so that they could go to their assigned areas. Which area are you heading to? The guard subconsciously asked when he saw him come out. What answered him was a huge fist, a one-hit kill. The guard didn't even have time to react before he was killed. Even at the moment of his death, he didn't know what had happened. They were outside and had no way of sensing what was going on inside. On top of that, Yi Tianyun's swift movements made it impossible for the guards to call for reinforcements. As for the energy spreading outside, that was even more impossible. There was a barrier on the palace gate, locking the energy inside. Not only did the lockdown energy not leak out, but even the energy from the outside was constantly being drawn in. Thus, the battle inside was unable to leak out. Unless they came in to check, they wouldn't be able to sense anything wrong. In the blink of an eye, the two guards outside were killed. The only ones left were the guards inside the spirit boat. Without any hesitation, Yi Tianyun dashed into the spirit boat and blasted the guard who was controlling the spirit boat into pieces. The rest of the star apprentices were dumbfounded. If you don't want to die, get out of here now. Yi Tianyun looked at them coldly. The star apprentices trembled and immediately turned around to leave the spirit boat. They didn't dare to stay any longer. They didn't dare to resist Yi Tianyun's orders. They didn't know what was going on with Yi Tianyun. If they dared to stand up for him, they might die. After they left, Yi Tianyun patted the pearl on the spirit boat and energy continuously flowed into it. With a swoosh, the spirit boat flew up into the sky and disappeared from the area. As soon as he left, some guards rushed out, but there weren't many of them. Along the way, Yi Tianyun had dared to resist because he could see that there weren't many guards here. He didn't want to stay in this place. Coincidentally, the guards here were lax, so it wasn't difficult for him to escape. Perhaps they thought that no one would resist, so they were so relaxed. They weren't wrong to think that way. After being branded with a soul brand, it was almost impossible to resist. If a stronger superior gave an order, they wouldn't be able to resist and would have to obey it. However, Yi Tianyun's speed was astonishing. They didn't even have the chance to give an order before they were killed. Or rather, they were dumbfounded. They didn't expect Yi Tianyun to be so bold as to resist them. This was definitely the first time in history that someone had resisted. He escaped in that direction. Chase him. The captain of the guards rushed out angrily. His eyes were filled with surprise and anger, but more than that, fear. If they couldn't catch him, they would be punished. Immediately, they boarded the spirit boat, drove the star disciples off, and quickly chased in the direction where Yi Tianyun was. I hope Cultivator Tianyun can escape successfully. Gong Yang and the others came out of the palace and were a little worried when they saw the situation. Except for Gong Yang, the other star disciples were watching the show from the sidelines. Some were worried. They didn't want to be implicated and punished together. That would be unjust. At the same time, Tianyun, who had snatched the spirit boat, was going all out. He let the spirit boat fly forward at the fastest speed. He didn't know what was going on in this area, so he just needed to escape. What an amazing speed! The level of this spirit boat is far better than a heavenly god treasure. Tianyun took a closer look, and the appraisal eye immediately showed him the information. Star sector level spiritual treasure, a level higher than a heavenly god. It has a vast amount of star power, and with the help of the star power, it can exert the strongest speed. Star sector level spiritual treasure, a treasure that surpassed the heavenly god level. However, it seemed to be more common here. At least to Tianyun, there wasn't much to see. Activate the star power. I haven't even activated my Dharma power. How can I do that? Tianyun had only used it for a while, but he knew that he couldn't use all his strength to activate it. The spirit boats behind him were much faster than he could control. It wasn't that their cultivation was far higher than Tianyun's, but that they could use the star power of the Dharma power to exert the strongest power of the pearl. If this continued, he would definitely be caught. Good, let's continue to catch up. Tianyun's eyes lit up. He felt that it was really exciting. Chapter 1851. Chase after him. The captain of the guards roared at his subordinate. Captain Chunxing, this is the fastest we can go. We can't go any faster, but if we continue like this, it won't be long before we catch up. The fugitive doesn't seem to have star aspect, so he can't increase his speed. The star aspect behind the subordinate flashed. If one looked closely, they would find that it was actually a giant eagle. This subordinate star aspect was the giant eagle star. Although it wasn't of a high grade, when used on this spirit boat, it could reach its maximum speed. This was why Chunxing let his subordinate control it. His star aspect was very strong, but that was only in battle. On the spirit boat, its effect was relatively average. That's for sure. He hasn't awakened the star aspect, so naturally he can't use it. Captain Chunxing looked ahead coldly. Where did this kid come from? Which world did he come from? How is it possible for him to be so powerful without awakening his star force? He really couldn't understand, especially when he heard the sounds of fighting outside. He quickly rushed out. By the time he rushed out, Tianyun had already killed his way out, snatched the spirit boat, and left. As he quickly understood the situation, he was shocked to find that someone had resisted, killed all the attendants and guards, and fled with the spirit boat. This was something that had never happened in history. If he was investigated, he would definitely be severely punished. At the very least, he would be sent to mine or something. At the very least, he would be killed. But he forgot one thing. Those who are marked with the slave mark can't escape. Captain Chunxing said coldly. Get closer, then I'll control him. As long as it was a captain, they could give orders to control. Everyone had different levels of authority. Captains could control the slave mark. Even if the other party was an upper god emperor, stronger than them, they could still order them to do things. This was a matter of authority. But as their cultivation increased, it would change very quickly. When that time came, captains naturally couldn't order them. Soon, the spirit boat caught up. When there was still some distance between them, Captain Chunxing immediately shouted, I order you to stop. Captain Chunxing shouted in a solemn voice, trying to activate the slave brand. As long as the other party heard the command, he would definitely obey. However, even though he had shouted, the spirit boat in front of him did not stop. Instead, it continued to rise to a higher level. This caused Captain Chunxing to be stunned. His orders were useless now? In my capacity as Captain Chunxing, I order you to stop. Captain Chunxing thought that his order was not conveyed, so he shouted again. This time, the voice was loud and clear. However, the spirit boat in front did not stop. It continued charging forward, passing through more forests and flying further into the distance. If this continued, they would definitely escape from this area. What's going on? Why isn't it working? Team leader Chen Xing was stunned. How could the command that had worked every time be ineffective? After that, he turned to look at his subordinate and ordered, "Kneel down right now." The subordinate's soul imprint flickered, and he knelt down without any hesitation. He didn't even know what had happened. There's no problem. Why can't he control it? Captain Chen Xing frowned. He really couldn't understand what was going on. Captain Chen Xing, could it be that the fugitive doesn't have that soul imprint? The guard next to him interrupted. This. Captain Chen Xing's expression stiffened. He immediately shook his head and denied it. That's impossible. Even a Star Master can be controlled by a soul imprint. Why isn't it working on him? But Captain, you've already shouted so many times, and the other party didn't have any effect at all. It's very likely that there really was an accident, and he didn't have the soul imprint on him. This guard was somewhat wise and could guess one thing. Could it be that the soul imprint really wasn't engraved on his soul? Captain Chen Xing's expression was strange. If there really was such a loophole, it would be really miraculous. All this while, such a situation had never occurred. As such, he had never thought about this problem. Immediately after, his gaze turned cold. He continued to shout, "How dare you violate the rules and kill the warden here? If you don't stop in time and surrender obediently, I'll wipe out all the forces in your hometown. I'll wipe them all out, kill them all. If you obediently surrender now, I won't hold your hometown responsible at all." Captain, is that useful? The guard next to him asked doubtfully. Of course it's useful. These trash aboriginals came up from below, and they all have a lot of feelings for the place down below. Most of them work themselves to death here to accumulate military merits to exchange for freedom and ownership of their hometown. They don't know that they'd probably be dead by the time they accumulate so many military merits, right? Captain Chen Xing said confidently. Just watch, he will definitely surrender soon. After all, the power is in our hands. What if we meet a heartless person? The guard next to him asked curiously. Slap. Captain Chen Xing slapped the guard, sending him flying. You talk too much. If he's a heartless person, then we'll kill him directly and destroy him. Even if we have to chase him to the end of the world, we'll catch him. As soon as he finished speaking, the spirit boat in front of them suddenly turned around and rushed towards them. Ha, I'm right? These trash aboriginals, as long as we threaten them slightly, they will immediately become obedient. Everyone listen to me, we must capture him alive. I want to see just what is going on with this boy that he can't be controlled. Captain, over there, what are you shouting for? Calm down a bit. Didn't he obediently come over to surrender? Captain Chen Xing turned his head and saw that the spirit boat that Tianyun was controlling was ruthlessly crashing towards them. Not only was its speed not slow, but it had also reached its fastest speed. It was like an enraged dragon, roaring as it hurtled towards them. Crazy, he's gone crazy! Captain Chen Xing shouted out, hurry and dodge! The two spirit boats crashed into each other. Not to mention the fact that the spirit boats would be damaged, but it would be hard for them to withstand the impact. In particular, the other side seemed to have gone mad. He was like a madman amongst madmen as he rushed towards them. Bang! It was already too late to dodge. They had both reached their fastest speed, and Tianyun's speed was also the fastest. When the two of them were added together, their speed was undoubtedly even more astonishing. As they crashed into each other, a violent explosion occurred. The surrounding forest was blasted apart and a giant mushroom cloud soared into the skies. Chapter 1852. The impact of the explosion was so strong that even the palace in the distance could feel the strong vibration. The range of the impact was too wide. If it had not been a little far away, the palace would have been affected. The star apostles who were watching from outside the palace did not know what had happened. What happened over there? It seems that something happened to Captain Chen Xing. Send more people over to check it out. Another captain came out of the palace. The palace was very big, but there were many people who were lazing around. Usually they had nothing to do, so they took turns to work. The rest of the time they would stay in the cultivation room to meditate in seclusion or do other things. To put it bluntly, they were not strict enough, which led to the current situation. They were also too confident in themselves. With the slave mark, they were not afraid that the other party would disobey them. However, they did not expect that Tianyun was an exception. He did not even have a slave mark. Immediately, a group of guards boarded the spiritual boat and flew towards the direction of the explosion. The other star apostles who had just boarded the spiritual boat were dumbfounded and did not know what to do. They were just abandoned at the side, and no one cared about them for the time being. Gong Yang turned his head and looked around. When he found that there were no guards around, his figure flashed, and he hid in a corner and quietly chose to escape. The slave mark was a very troublesome thing, but if no one controlled it, it was no different from being a free person. Not all areas of the celestial terminus ancestral land were managed by strong people. If they could hide, they would naturally do so. Not only Gong Yang, but other star apostles also chose to boldly escape, and some chose to stay there instead of leaving. This situation showed that they were not good enough to deal with the crisis. They had actually left a group of newly promoted star apostles aside. The newly promoted star apostles were extremely rebellious. If it were not for the slave mark and the strength of the guards, they would not have obeyed the order. The guards did not know any of this, and their attention was focused on Tianyun. At the same time, after the explosion dissipated, the two spiritual boats were lying in a big pit, smashed to pieces. Captain Chen Xing and the others in the spiritual boat were all thrown out. Some were injured, some were not dead, but many were seriously injured. How could such a violent impact be weak? Even though they were at the star apostle middle stage, they were still shaken to the point of trembling, and their injuries were not light. This was especially true for those with lower cultivation and weaker equipment. They were heavily injured and paralyzed on the ground, unable to move. Damn it, what a lunatic! Team leader Chen Xing climbed up. His injuries were average, and his defense was strong. Naturally, there wouldn't be any big problems. However, it was hard to say for the rest of his subordinates. They were all in a more miserable state. For a moment, all of them were lying on the ground, unable to move. Lunatic? Who are you calling a lunatic? A figure appeared in front of him. Captain Chen Xing had just raised his head when he was sent flying by a kick. His body was kicked into a bloody mist. Following that, the soul inside broke out of the shell and wandered about in the void. Just as he came out, a huge hand grabbed his soul and pinched it in the palm of his hand. It's you? When Captain Chen Xing realized that his body had been destroyed, he realized that he had been caught by Tianyun. When he saw the unharmed Tianyun, he was stunned. With such a huge impact, he should have been injured no matter what, right? He had strong protective gear on him, so he wouldn't be injured. However, no matter how strong the protective gear was, it was still destroyed by Tianyun's kick. The body could defend, but what about the brain? Of course it's me. Tianyun pinched his soul and said coldly, I didn't want to do this, but you said something that hurt my ears, so I couldn't help but crash into you. You want to destroy my hometown? Then I'll destroy you all first. No, don't. Bang! Captain Chen Xing's soul was crushed just like that. There was no mercy. In the next second, Tianyun continued to clean up the remaining guards. As they were all injured, it was very easy to clean them up. In the blink of an eye, all the guards that were chasing after him were cleaned up. Let's go. Tianyun raised his head to look at the sky. He didn't stay for long and quickly left. The reason why he wasn't injured was naturally not because of his heaven-defying defense. Such a strong impact, he would have been injured no matter what. He mainly used the teleportation god stone to set a coordinate on the side when he turned back to crash. The moment he controlled the spirit boat to crash over, he immediately teleported over. Naturally, he could easily avoid the damage caused by the impact. Not long after he left, several spirit boats quickly arrived. Soon, a group of powerful guards came down. Among them was an extremely powerful existence. When he stepped out, his power enveloped the area, and all the details were reflected in his mind. There's no one left. His methods are quite rough. Everyone has been taken care of. This man had an expression of superiority and arrogance. At this moment, he frowned. Something like this actually happened. If the higher-ups find out, I'm afraid I won't be able to keep my position. Palace Master, what should we do? Should we send people to search immediately? The guard next to him asked. Isn't that obvious? Quickly increase the manpower and search for all of them. This man was the Thunder Shadow Temple Master of the palace. When such a situation occurred, he finally came out. His cultivation was at the level of a Star Master. Vaguely, the Starlight Dharma power behind him had reached the level of level 3. The power it carried was like a violent storm. Could pour out at any time and destroy everything. Yes, Temple Master. The guard hurriedly searched to the side. He wanted to turn the surroundings inside and out. The Thunder Shadow Temple Master turned back to the spirit boat and said in a deep voice, "Go back." Then, they quickly returned to the palace. When the Thunder Shadow Temple Master returned, the group of guards looked a little flustered. They didn't dare to look at the Thunder Shadow Temple Master. What happened? The Thunder Shadow Temple Master had just returned and immediately sensed that something was wrong. That some of the Star Apostles who just came up escaped, the guard reported, trembling. Escaped? The Thunder Shadow Temple Master frowned. He immediately glared at them and said, "Hurry up and find them. If you miss one, you can use your life to make up for it." Yes, the guards complained incessantly. How could they have known that such a thing would happen? They could only hurriedly get up and search for people. If they could find one, their lives would be saved. If they couldn't, they would have to use their lives to make up for it. They didn't want to die here, and they especially didn't want to use their lives to make up for the lives of some low-level aborigines. When the rest of the guards went to search, the Thunder Shadow Temple Master looked coldly at the remaining deacons and said, "Kill all the Star Apostles you have captured. This matter must not be spread, understand?" Understood. Many deacons nodded. If the main palace hall found out, they would really lose their lives. They could only harden their hearts and kill those Star Apostles who knew about this. Chapter 1853. The ruthlessness of the Thunder Shadow Temple Master caused many Star Apostles to suffer, especially those who did not escape, and were killed directly. At the moment they were killed, they were filled with regret. Why didn't they run away? Why did they stay here? The people here were a bunch of selfish, arrogant people who looked down on them. Whoever trusted them was an idiot. Obviously, they were one of those idiots. Or rather, from the moment they were promoted, they had no status to speak of. They could kill anyone they wanted, just like slaughtering a chicken or a dog. There were no obstacles. Gong Yang had anticipated this situation, so he had chosen to escape first. He would rather fight to see if he could escape than stay here. From the moment he saw the cultivators here, he knew that none of them were easy to deal with, and he had no status to speak of. He would not even know what happened to him if he died here one day. The search went on frantically. Be it for Tianyun or the other Star Apostles, everyone was conducting a large-scale search. Tianyun had been listed as a key wanted person. However, this was only internal. Outsiders did not dare to spread the news. If they issued a wanted order, wouldn't it be equivalent to exposing their dereliction of duty? Hence, they had to arrest him internally, which made it much more difficult. As long as he escaped a little further, they would not be able to catch him. However, the definition of further was very far. It seemed that there was only a forest surrounding it, but in fact the entire planet was their territory. This meant that as long as he did not escape from the planet, he would not be able to escape. For this reason, they mainly guarded the area outside. They would first guard the area outside, then slowly surround and capture him. This was a very slow and steady process. As long as there was no major negligence, they would be able to capture him. However, it all depended on time. Whoever was faster would be the winner. Just when the guards thought that Tianyun would escape to another area, Tianyun had actually used the teleportation god stone to return to the palace. He had to be responsible for his hometown. He had to see if they had done anything to his hometown. After all, the words of the guard had really provoked him. If they did anything to his hometown, it would be extremely troublesome. In reality, such a situation did not occur. They did not come in to investigate, or rather, they did not know which world Tianyun came from. Unless one saw which world he came from in the beginning, there was absolutely no way to know which world he came from. As for destroying his hometown, that was even more ridiculous. Regardless of which area it was in, the most important thing was that they couldn't go in with their authority. Unless it was forcefully broken open, there was no way to go in and destroy it. However, if they were to check the artifact's spirit, they would be exposed. After all, if they couldn't communicate with the artifact's spirit, they would suspect that something was wrong and send someone down. Tianyun was not worried about this matter. After all, the artifact spirit's accident couldn't be blamed on him, right? It seems that they are all crazy, they don't have time to care about this place. Tianyun said as he hid in the palace. He could clearly see the situation outside, especially now that he was wearing a guard's uniform. As long as you don't look carefully, you will think that he is the guard here. He had killed the guard earlier and obtained the corresponding equipment. Dressed like a guard, he swaggered in front of the door, pretending to be a former guard, guarding this place. From time to time, he saw star apostles coming up from below and asking him to report inside. He looked no different from a normal guard. While the search for Tianyun outside was driving him crazy, he hid here to take refuge. The more dangerous a place was, the safer it seemed. A long time ago, he had prepared a backup plan for himself, and he would never act impulsively. Even if he acted impulsively, he would always have a backup plan in hand, and he would not bring any disaster to his hometown. Time passed quickly, and very soon, some star apostles were caught. These star apostles were undoubtedly executed. Tianyun watched coldly from the side. This matter had indeed started because of him, but the real problem was naturally the problem here. They had treated them like ants and treated their lives as nothing. In order to cover up their own mistakes, they had killed other innocent people. When these star apostles were executed, some of them hated Tianyun, but most of them hated everyone here. When they came up, they could sense what was going on. If they had a choice, they really did not want to come to this world and become slaves here. The Empyrean Terminus ancestral land is really disgusting. When I am strong enough, I will definitely destroy this place. Tianyun clenched his fists tightly. He was very contemptuous of what they had done. Now, he was waiting for an opportunity, a chance to escape. With the Thunder Shadow Temple Master guarding this place, he could not make any more plans. Originally, he had wanted to secretly kill all the guards, but this would undoubtedly expose himself. The Thunder Shadow Temple Master was very strong, so strong that he could crush him with one move. Perhaps this was the level of a Star Master, especially when he had awakened his own Star Law. If he could awaken the Star Dharma aspect, the result would be different. Perhaps with the help of this Star Law, it would not be impossible for him to fight the Thunder Shadow Temple Master. After all, if he continued like this, it would not be a problem for him to break through to the late Star Apostle level. With the help of Crazy Mode and the Star Law, it was also possible for him to crush the Thunder Shadow Temple Master. Just as he was thinking about how to escape, a familiar figure appeared in front of him, Gong Yang. He did not expect Gong Yang to be caught in the end. They were still too weak. They could cover the sky with one hand on the ground, but here they seemed so powerless. Any guard could crush them. Without awakening the Star Law, they could not release their full strength. Therefore, in the face of someone at the same level, they could only stare. There was a large amount of energy in the altar, and awakening the Star Law required energy. It was not possible to awaken the Star Law just by looking at the void outside and roaring. Otherwise, they would not have spent so much effort to build an altar to awaken the Star Law. Kid, I did not expect you to be so good at concealment. If I did not look carefully, I would not have been able to tell that you were hiding in that corner. The guard next to him dragged him to the ground and looked at Gong Yang unhappily. Speak. Where is your other companion? You seem to have a good relationship with that kid. Do you know where he is hiding? Tui. Gong Yang spat and said coldly, even if I die, I will not say it. Trash like you do not deserve to know. Cultivator Tianyun will definitely escape to a place you will never know. Chapter 1854. Oh? You have guts? The guard swung the spear in his hand, and with a paw sound, Gong Yang was sent flying. His body caved in, and there was an obvious trace of the spear shaft. Gong Yang sucked in a breath of cold air. He got up and glared at the guard coldly. It's not that I have guts, but you bunch of trash don't deserve to know. A bunch of arrogant bastards treating us like trash. Do you think you are better than us? In my opinion, you are just a bunch of arrogant bastards. Give me some time and I will trample all of you under my feet. Gong Yang's face was filled with arrogance. He did not rely on luck to reach his current level, but his strength. Perhaps their foundations were not as good as those who were born here, but they had strong willpower and were able to fight on. That's not right. Some of your guards actually came up from the bottom like us. Yet, you guys treat us like this. You have really forgotten your original identity. After staying here for a while, you guys don't even know who you are anymore. Gong Yang shook his head and sneered. In my opinion, you guys will be abandoned sooner or later. No matter how hard you work, the result will be the same if you stay in this godforsaken place. They will look down on you. This bunch of trash would rather die than stay here for a while. Gong Yang continued to spit. He wanted to vent the anger in his heart before he died. Since he was going to die anyway, why not spit it out to make himself feel better? The faces of the guards in front turned pale. Some of them had indeed come up from the bottom and were assigned to this place to carry out their duties. By staying here for a while, they would be able to earn military merit. If they could find talented people, they would be able to earn even more military merit. Thus, staying here was considered a good job. However, there had never been anyone talented enough to turn this good job into a tough one. Since they did not earn any military merits, they vented their anger on the cultivators who came up from the bottom. At the same time, they had forgotten that they came up from the bottom. It was really a sad thing. What, are you speechless because of what I said? Even if you have a breakthrough in the future, in my opinion, you are just a bunch of dogs. Dong. A spear stabbed him and nailed him to the ground. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me about your companion, or where your hometown is, and I'll spare your life. The guard glared at him with bloodshot eyes. He wanted nothing more than to kill Gong Yang, but he still had to carry out his duty. Gong Yang grinned and spat on the guard's face. I've said it before, I won't say a word even if I die. Fellow Taoist Tianyun has done what I wanted to do, and I hope that one day, he will come and kill all of you. I believe that he will save all the cultivators here. All the cultivators here were trapped together and had to work hard for the celestial terminus ancestral land. Actually, there was nothing wrong with risking their lives. The key was that the treatment was too poor. If they were treated fairly, climbing up from the bottom would not be a big deal. But from the very beginning, they were treated like slaves. How could they accept this? If it wasn't for the slave brand, they would have rebelled. Humph! Saving the cultivators here, what wishful thinking! The guard sneered. If he dares to come back, he will definitely be destroyed by laying temple master. I'll ask you one last time. Are you going to tell me or not? The guard raised the spear in his hand and easily tore a hole in Gong Yang's body. If this continued, the hole would reach his head. What a fool! Don't even think of getting half a word out of me. Don't waste your time. Gong Yang was still stubborn and refused to say anything. In fact, Gong Yang did not know the details, and Yi Tianyun did not say which world he came from. He only knew his name and nothing else. Therefore, it was useless to force him to answer. But he said it like that, and he was stubborn. Then go to hell. The guard was enraged. He brandished his spear, wanting to split Gong Yang in half. At this moment, a figure flashed by and punched the guard into a bloody mist, which dissipated in the void. There's no need to wait for the future. I dare to come back now. Yi Tianyun appeared in front of the guards. His eyes were cold, and a sharp aura swept in all directions. The guards at the side were dumbfounded, especially when they saw Yi Tianyun's attire. Wasn't this the attire of their comrade? When they took a closer look, they realized that this guy was the wanted Yi Tianyun. When did he sneak in? Cultivator Tianyun? Gong Yang was stunned. He did not expect that Yi Tianyun would rush out to save him at this critical moment. Yi Tianyun did not want to help at first, but seeing Gong Yang like this, his heart was moved. It had to be said that Gong Yang was a person worth befriending. Even in death, he kept his mouth shut. Actually, Gong Yang could have said something random, for example, he knew where it was and led the guards to look for it. That way, he could buy time and live a little longer. But he did not do that. Instead, he chose to scold them directly. He would not betray Yi Tianyun. Under such circumstances, Yi Tianyun decided to help. And in his mind, he had a new plan. Catch him! Catch him! The guards immediately reacted and quickly surrounded Yi Tianyun. Some even quickly informed their companions so that they could capture Yi Tianyun. Do you think you can catch me? Yi Tianyun sneered. He swung his spear and charged at the guards in front of him, instantly killing them. With his domineering power, as long as they were not powerful star apostles or star masters, he could deal with them with a single spear strike. In the blink of an eye, they were easily killed and turned into a huge wave of star energy. Brother Gong Yang, come with me! Yi Tianyun pulled out the spear from Gong Yang's body and gestured for him to hurry up. Gong Yang quickly recovered from his injuries. This was not a problem for him. As long as his soul was not injured, there was no pressure on his body to recover quickly. Shortly after, Yi Tianyun walked in front of the altar and looked at him with a smile. Your appearance made me want to fight. I don't need to wait for the future. I want to flatten this place now. Flatten this place? Gong Yang was stunned. He then shook his head and advised, Brother Tianyun, don't be so impulsive. Hurry up and escape. The Thunder Shadow Temple Master is very strong. He has at least the cultivation of a Star Master. There is no way we can resist him. Gong Yang naturally did not believe that Yi Tianyun had such strength. The gap between a Star Apostle and a Star Master was huge. How could he make up for it? Chapter 1855. The bold idea that Yi Tianyun was talking about was actually awakening the Star Dharma power. He would take a gamble. The level of his Star Dharma power was not low. The higher the level, the greater the suppression, and the greater the increase in his strength. With the help of Crazy Mode, he felt that he had a chance to defeat Laying Temple Master. He did not have to wait until his cultivation level increased to take revenge. He could do it now. This was a gamble. He was betting that the level of his Star Dharma power was not low. When the two were combined, he would definitely reach a new height. Of course, if it was really low, he was confident that he could escape. However, he really did not want to escape. He wanted to destroy this place. Gong Yang was stunned. Awakening the star Dharma power would destroy this place? Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? It sounded like the star Dharma power was invincible. The star Dharma power was very strong, but its improvement was limited. It was far from improving one's cultivation level. The stronger one's cultivation was, the more powerful the star Dharma power would be. It was not the star Dharma power that made one extremely powerful. This could not be reversed. But Laying Temple Master is a star master. Even if your star Dharma power is very strong, it is very difficult to kill someone of a higher level. Listen to me, hurry up and escape. Gong Yang stomped his feet angrily and pushed Tianyun out. You should not have appeared to save me. You should have waited for things to calm down before sneaking away. Am I supposed to just watch you die? Tianyun said with a smile. It doesn't matter if I die. At least you can save this place, right? Gong Yang shook his head. He felt that as long as Tianyun could save the entire palace and his hometown, it would be equivalent to saving him. Don't worry, I can not only save you, but I can also save this place. Tianyun dragged him towards the altar. I'll go up and awaken first. Protect me. With that, he stepped onto the altar. The surroundings were still empty. Everyone had gone out to search for Tianyun and to catch the star apostles who had escaped. This was a critical period. As for those star apostles who had risen up, they would temporarily stay in a certain area. When a certain number of people had accumulated, they would awaken the star Dharma idol in one go. Gong Yang watched as Tianyun stepped onto the altar. He clenched his fists and said, All right, even if I die, it will be worth it. You saved my life anyway. Gong Yang casually took the weapons of the guards and stood in front of Tianyun. No matter who approached, he would kill without mercy. As soon as Tianyun stepped onto the altar, he quickly began to sense his Dharma idol. Just as he began to sense it, the dense patterns on the ground began to surge towards him. After a wave of energy entered his body, it instantly shot up into the sky, straight into the sky. At that moment, the five-colored Emperor Dragon in his body churned and actually rushed into the void along the beam of light. He did not know where it went. Tianyun didn't care about this. His soul consciousness had already followed the pillar of light into the star in the sky. He felt as if he had entered a special area. The speed at which he moved became very slow as he moved up layer by layer. This is a first-level star Dharma idol. Tianyun sensed the rings of stars around him. There were Golden Snake Star, Dragon Horse Star, Iron Hammer Star, and so on. However, he felt that he could still go up. He continued to move forward, and without much difficulty, he rushed into the area of the second-level star Dharma idol. There were also many stars here, such as Giant Ape Star, Giant Eagle Star, Golden Hammer Star, Dragon Snake Star, and so on. However, he didn't care about this place at all. He continued to move up. He needed a higher-level star Dharma idol, above the 5th level. To turn the tables, he needed at least a first-level star Dharma idol, which was a level higher than that of the Thunder Shadow Temple Master. Only then could he suppress the power of the star Dharma idol. Under the suppression of power, the opponent's power would be weakened, and he would have the advantage. However, it was too difficult to rush to the 4th or 5th level. Otherwise, there would be plenty of people at the 4th and 5th level. Awakening the star Dharma idol depended on one's own understanding and constantly rushing up. If one couldn't rush up, he could only choose his own star Dharma idol. If he hesitated, it would consume too much mental energy, which would lead to failure. However, there were some who couldn't awaken the star Dharma idol. It wasn't because he was hesitant, but because he couldn't sense it. Tianyun could easily sense it, which meant that he was quite talented in this area. Soon, he rushed to the third-level star Dharma idol again. However, he didn't stop and continued to rush forward. Third-level star Dharma idol. When Gong Yang saw this, he was stunned by the scene. He could see which area Yi Tianyun had entered. Now that Yi Tianyun had entered the third-level starfield, it meant that he could choose any star and be on the same level as the Thunder Shadow Temple Master. Ta, ta, ta. A group of guards quickly rushed in from all directions. After entering, they saw that Yi Tianyun was choosing his star Dharma idol. When they saw it clearly, they were all stunned. Third-level star Dharma idol? This is impossible, right? Didn't he come up from below? How could he communicate with the third-level starfield? This is impossible, right? Did he really come up from below? For a moment, they were really stunned. Yi Tianyun's situation had given them a strong shock. The reason why cultivators in the lower realm were looked down upon was not only because their status was too low, but also because their talent was very low. Their star Dharma idol level was really low. Most of them were only first level, and most of them didn't even have a level. Second-level star Dharma idols were already burning incense, so it was normal that they didn't think much of it. As for the deacon, he didn't even need to test it and directly ordered Yi Tianyun to go to the mine. Anyway, even if it was a first-level star Dharma idol, it wouldn't be interesting at all. There wouldn't be any military rewards. Now that it was a third-level star Dharma idol, it was different. It was in existence at the level of a temple master. Its future was boundless. However, it wasn't over yet. When Yi Tianyun rushed to the fourth-level starfield, an even more surging star power appeared around him. It was as if he was surrounded by stars, extremely bright. Those that could reach the fourth-level starfield all had the support of star power. Fourth level. They were all stunned and forgot to make a move for a moment. Soon, the Thunder Shadow Temple Master appeared. He sensed the situation and immediately rushed over. When he saw the fourth-level star power, he was also stunned. Thunder Shadow Temple Master, should we make a move immediately? The guards immediately reacted and prepared to make a move. Wait, don't rush. The Thunder Shadow Temple Master raised his hand to stop them. How can I let such a talent go? Chapter 1856. Temple Master Laying was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he observed the situation from the side and instructed the guards not to make a move, allowing Yi Tianyun to awaken the star Dharma power. Gong Yang gripped his weapon tightly and glared at Temple Master Laying. If Temple Master Laying were to attack, he would fight him to the death even if he had to give up his life. He had to protect Yi Tianyun no matter what and not let anyone disturb him. However, with his cultivation, he really could not stop Temple Master Laying. Temple Master Laying did not even need to use one move to kill him. When Yi Tianyun awakened the star Dharma power, he also split a bit of his divine consciousness to observe the situation around him. When he saw Temple Master Laying coming over so quickly, he was still a little wary. If Temple Master Laying attacked, he could only choose to give up and escape. However, Temple Master Laying's actions were similar to his expectations. After understanding a little about the mechanism here, he knew that the merit of the Temple Master was related to whether or not he could find more outstanding geniuses. The more talented the Star Apostles, the more benefits the Temple Master would receive. Therefore, he was not only betting that he could obtain a higher-level Star Dharma power, but also that Temple Master Laying would be calm and choose to let him awaken the Star Dharma power first. Generally speaking, the Temple Master's cultivation was amazing, and he was not afraid of the Star Apostles who had awakened the Star Dharma power. Even if it was a level 5 Star Dharma power, he could still kill it with one slap. No matter how talented a child was impossible for him to be stronger than an adult. Even if he could become an invincible Hercules in the future, he was still weak and could be killed with one slap. This was Temple Master Laying's mentality. No matter how the other party awakened, it would be meaningless. He had absolute control over the power, so he did not have to worry about anything happening. A level 4-star Dharma power. A lowly aborigine from the lower world can actually achieve a level 4-star Dharma power. This is unbelievable. Temple Master Lei Ying's eyes flashed with jealousy, but he did not attack. The rules had decided that he would not attack immediately. In his opinion, as long as he was sincere, he would definitely be able to rope him in. If he still resisted, he would kill him with one slap. The star power around Yi Tianyun once again blossomed with dazzling light. This time it was even more intense than before. It meant that he had once again stepped into a whole new level, level 5. Fifth grade star Dharma idol, Gong Yang, who was standing guard in front of Yi Tianyun, was shocked. At first, he thought that Yi Tianyun would be lucky to have a level 3-star Dharma idol. Now that Yi Tianyun had a level 4-star Dharma idol, he thought that Yi Tianyun had reached his limit. Who would have thought that he would still be able to continue rushing forward? This was simply too unbelievable. 5th-level star Dharma form. Laying Temple Master clenched his fist. Both his eyes and heart were engulfed by a sea of jealousy. Even the divine princes of the Empyrean Terminus ancestral land can't compare. A 5th-grade star Dharma idol was considered one of the best in any force. They were geniuses among geniuses and were usually called God's sons. As long as such an existence did not seek death in the future, it would not be a problem for it to become a star venerate of the ancestral land. The guards were also dumbfounded. They had never seen a 5th-level star Dharma idol appear in front of them. Shock was shock, but nothing had stopped. Yi Tianyun felt that everything was not his limit. I can still go up and enter more powerful star fields. Yi Tianyun's soul was like a sharp sword, piercing through the barrier before the star field level and rushing to a higher peak. Finally, he reached the star field of the level 6 star Dharma idol in one go, shocking everyone. 6th grade. Laying Temple Master was completely stunned. If he had only been slightly shocked before, this time he was completely dumbfounded. It was an existence that could only be seen but not reached. That was the level 6 star Dharma idol. Rumor had it that those who had reached the level 6 star Dharma idol would have the ability to kill those of a higher level. Even if they were 2 levels apart, they could still crush their opponent. Of course, a level 5 star Dharma idol was also amazing, but a level 6 star Dharma idol was a world of difference. No matter which level it was, it could crush its opponent. The key was that the level 6 star Dharma idol was the peak. No matter which force they went to, they would focus on training them. Moreover, it would be the most important kind, with all kinds of resources thrown at them. Oh my, what am I seeing? A level 6 star Dharma idol. Gong Yang was speechless. When he saw the vast power of the stars surrounding Yi Tianyun, it really looked like a star god had descended. The entire palace was shrouded in this light. But was it over? Still not. When others thought that Yi Tianyun was going to choose his own star Dharma idol, and even Yi Tianyun himself was about to choose his own star Dharma idol, the shadow of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon suddenly appeared in the void. The 5-colored Emperor Dragon roared at him, rolled him up and rushed to a higher level in the void, the level 7 star field. Perhaps it could not be considered a level 7 star field. Generally speaking, a level 6 star field was the top, and there was no such thing as a level 7 star field. But right now it was a level 7 star field, which was impossible. In the vast void, a dazzling star Dharma idol suddenly appeared, the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. The huge dragon's body flashed in the void, and all the stars below it suddenly became dim. Everything seemed so insignificant under the light of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon. Even the level 6 star Dharma idol seemed so small in front of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's star field. The level 6 star Dharma idol was as dazzling as the sun, but in front of the 5-colored Emperor Dragon, it was as weak as a candle. Everyone was dumbfounded. Itianyun was also shocked. He thought it was over. After all, reaching the level 6 star field was the top. Choosing the level 6 star Dharma idol was basically the end. He was very satisfied with this result. Obtaining a top star Dharma idol was already very amazing. However, he saw a hint of disdain in the 5-colored Emperor Dragon's eyes. It was disdainful of the star Dharma idols of the level 6 star fields. It was even mocking him for wanting to choose a level 6 star Dharma idol. Boom! The 5-colored divine light shrouded Itianyun. The power of the star Dharma idol began to pour into his soul and body. God, what am I seeing? A level 7 star Dharma idol. In their minds, the highest level was the level 6 star field. Now that a level 7 had appeared, it was simply a miracle. It wasn't just the guards inside the palace that were shocked. Even the forces outside saw a brand new celestial body appear in the void above the rank 6 region. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.